Chapter 12:14. Is that all you are capable of? However, that is not enough to chase me away. I have a saber technique that I would like to share with everyone. Breaking the inferior grade profound martial techniques that filled the sky exceeded everyone's expectations. Unexpectedly, when facing the 30-odd consummation blue-robed emperors, Xiaochen forcefully chose to attack. Xiaochen's heart entered a state of emptiness. To him the world was pitch black. Aside from him, there was no one else. In Xiaochen's world, space was sealed. Time stopped flowing. The entire world was quiet. It was like the primal chaos had yet to develop. Aside from darkness, there was nothing else. Whoosh! A strand of saber light appeared and tore through this dark world. Color reappeared in Xiaochen's eyes. He saw the mocking smiles on the faces of Pei Yan, Yi Ziheng, and the others. The 30-odd consummation blue-robed emperors all looked at him coldly with mocking smiles. They were laughing at Xiaochen for overestimating himself. After gaining an advantage, he did not obediently defend and did his best to delay. To think that Xiaochen was seeking death by charging at them. This is exactly what I wanted. When you arrive, we will surround you and delay you. Even if you are as strong as the old black iron monster, and can kill Emperor Wu. Even if you are as strong as the old black iron monster, you will still die. Under the encirclement of 30-odd peak consummation quasi-emperors, Xiaochen would only be ground to death. There would not be a second result. My path, my pride, my glory. There is no need to say more. It all depends on this saber strike. When Xiaochen swung his saber, all sorts of mysterious phenomena flashed. Poems of praise fell from the sky. When Xiaochen swung his saber, all sorts of mysterious phenomena flashed. Poems of praise fell from the sky. The various things that happened in the past turned into mysterious phenomena along with the poems, appearing everywhere. In Mo City, during the promise of 10 years, Xiaochen used the ninth heaven's thunder formation to defeat strong enemies, kneeled to his father thrice, and left in a huff. In the Tianwu Emperor's grave, he laughed loudly and issued a challenge to all the great Qin nation's scions, becoming famous for the first time. In the battle at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, he announced Xiaochen's name and defeated the great Qin nation's noble clan scions, achieving consecutive victories and starting the legend of the white-robed bladesman. In the ancient desolate land, he was neither humble nor arrogant. He broke the 1,000-year-old record and obtained 100 consecutive victories. In the five-nation youth competition, Xiaochen remained unknown. However, he defeated the outstanding talents of the various places and stood at the peak of the Sky Dome realm, becoming a king true dragon. In the Kunlun realm, he swept through all the younger generation, and was conferred as the Blue Dragon. 10,000 dragons soared in the Cloud Sea domain. He instantly killed 8 quasi-emperors after being destroyed. In the Heavenly Starry Ocean's Four Seas Hero Gathering, Xiaochen defeated all the outstanding talents in one move in an instant. 13 years of searching for the path, experiencing all kinds of loneliness and pain, casting a heroic name in the world. There is no one like me in the world. Xiao Xiaoyi his. Filled with lofty sentiments, Xiaochen brought out the instant of glory of this saber strike to its limits. All sorts of poems and mysterious phenomena formed a vast, boundless, glorious, and majestic epic. King, Chen Chen, Chen the Xiao, Chen, that all King Xiao marshal. Chen, he, Xiao break. Xiaochen looked coldly at the people in the painting, who still had mocking expressions on their faces. Then he opened his clenched left hand and gently opened it. Suddenly the painting shattered, and the sealed space shattered piece by piece. It was like a broken mirror, shattering into countless pieces. The 30-odd people in the painting did their best to protect themselves. However, they were still riddled with wounds. They vomited blood and got knocked back by the power of space. Their hair was disheveled, and they were covered in wounds. The people watching in the dark were all dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen alone forced back 30-odd peak blue-robed emperors. With this move, half of the 30-odd consummation blue-robed emperors could no longer stand up. Some of the weaker ones even had their bodies split open. The wounds looked very horrifying. If not for the demon mixed bloods possessing strong physical attributes, and the fact that they were all consummation blue-robed emperors, all of them would have died. Aside from peak characters like the 10 outstanding talents, Most of the remaining 15 or 16 demon mixedbloods had lost most of their combat prowess. The might of one saber strike was so strong. Right now, Xiao Chun was incredibly tired. Sweat covered his forehead. This move exhausted not only his law energy, but also his mental energy. Xiao Chun felt completely drained. However, there were only two feelings in his heart: carefree. That's right, carefree. After comprehending the instant of glory once more, he had finally reached the lesser mastery realm from its original level of mastery to the next level. Even if most of the blue-robed emperors were lucky enough to obtain a medial-grade profound martial technique, they would find it difficult to execute it even once. However, Xiao Chun was able to go from being able to withdraw and release it as he pleased to small perfection. Describing such people as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns was insufficient to match Xiao Chun's comprehension ability. What small perfection meant was that one could bring out 30% of a medial-grade profound martial technique's might. Several of these people could bring out only 50 to 60% of an inferior-grade profound martial technique's might, not to mention a medial-grade profound martial technique. Being suppressed like this was not an injustice at all. The blue-robed emperors watching from afar were all startled into stupefaction. The deterrence of this move was simply too great. Xiao Chun looked coldly at the 10-odd people standing in front. The mockery on these people's faces had long since vanished, replaced by deep fear. Damn it. He actually cultivated a medial-grade profound martial technique to small perfection. As the 10-odd people watched Xiao Chun's clothes flutter, they gritted their teeth in hatred. How could they have imagined that a peak great perfection blue-robed emperor could force them, a group of consummation blue-robed emperors, into such a sorry state? As Xiao Chun stood in the air, the formless tyranny of a ruler spread out from his body, stirring up changes in the sky and stirring up clouds and winds. Xiao Chun's gaze was incredibly sharp, revealing a strong state of mind. No one dared to look directly at him. These people simply did not know what kind of obsession Xiao Chun had with this flower of life. Without the demonic essence core, it would only be slightly more difficult for these outstanding talents to clear their great tribulation of wind and fire. However, without the flower of life, Xiao Chun could not advance to martial emperor. Everything would be for naught. Xiao Chun's dreams and hopes would all be for naught. Xiao Chun's words of risking his life was not a joke at all. Before such a strong aura, the remaining 10-odd people did not dare to act rashly. For a moment, a stalemate appeared. It was hard to imagine that Xiao Chun, whom no one thought highly of, could block 30-odd consummation blue-robed emperors with just this saber in his hand. Drip, drip, drip. The blood rain in the sky mixed with dust, still falling endlessly. In fact, it even intensified. The shock waves of this instant of glory were more than 1 or 2 levels stronger than the shock waves of the killing moves that those people combined to execute earlier. Who knew how many ordinary flying dragon snakes had died in the swamp after suffering an unexpected calamity? This made the blood rain even sharper. When it landed on the people, it quickly drenched their clothes and dyed their white robes red. Amid the blood rain, Xiao Chun's eyes remained cold. He allowed the rain to land on his body, not showing any intention of retreating. Time slowly passed. It looked like Dugu Ao and the others were about to kill the already severely injured mutated flying dragon snake. The hearts of Pei Yan and the others grew even more restless amid this blood rain. They wanted to charge over several times. However, as long as they met Xiao Chun's gaze, looked at the people lying on the ground, moaning in pain, and saw that boundlessly glorious mysterious phenomenon from earlier, they would feel weak in their hearts for some reason. For some reason, they all felt weak in their hearts and did not dare to act rashly. Even the strongest Pei Yan was no exception. After being struck head-on by that instant of glory, Pei Yan only had 70% of his combat prowess. Based on Pei Yan's guess, if he had to bear the full might of this instant of glory alone, even if he did not die, he would be severely injured. Only the heavens knew if this fellow would risk his life to launch another attack. He definitely will. As Pei Yan looked at Xiao Chun's eyes, he felt a chill in his heart. This fellow definitely will. As long as someone dared to take a step forward, even if Pei Yan had to pay with his life, he would drag that person to hell. Speaking of which, it was laughable. No matter what, Pei Yan was the strongest of the 10 outstanding talents of the human demon territory. However, before this outsider, before this youth who was more than 10 years younger than him, Pei Yan actually showed cowardice. The companions beside him could not give him any sense of security at all. This was a kind of grievance. Pei Yan clenched his right hand so tightly that his fingers nearly dug into his flesh. Pei Yan held back his anger, his entire body trembling. However, he still did not dare to step forward. If even Pei Yan was like that, then there was no need to mention the others standing beside him. However, they were not willing to leave just like that. Hence, the situation remained in a stalemate. Unable to advance or retreat, this was the current situation of this group of outstanding talents of the human demon sea. Pooh. Just at this moment, a mournful wail came from the death swamp, where the blood rain poured down. After paying a heavy price, Dugu Ao's group finally chopped off the huge mutated flying dragon snake's head. In that instant, blood gushed into the sky like a fountain, causing the blood rain, which had weakened slightly, to fall ferociously once more. The 3,000-year-old mutated flying dragon snake died just like that. Berserk energy spread out. This energy formed strong gales that blew wantonly in the swamp, sounding like the wails of ghosts and the howls of wolves. Everyone was well aware of what the blood-curdling screams meant. In an instant, the stalemate broke. The temptation of the demonic essence pill finally defeated the fear in the hearts of everyone present. The 10-odd consummation blue-robed emperors in front, and an even larger number of blue-robed emperors in the distance were like a pack of wolves that had been waiting for a long time on a grassy plain. At this moment, their eyes lit up, and they all moved. However, just as they stood up, Xiao Chun, who was drenched and covered in blood, swung his saber and shouted in rage. Whoosh! 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 Who dares to move? Along with this roar of rage were 10,000 bolts of lightning. Xiao Chun infused his peak will of thunder into these 3 words. The instant Xiao Chun spoke, the resplendent and dazzling lightning talisman in his sea of consciousness vanished completely. It turned into a bolt of lightning containing the peak will of thunder, and tore through the sky at the same time. What kind of scene would that be? At this moment, it was like the end of the world. The indescribable electric light made this colorful world lose all color. Only black and white remained. Chapter 12:15. Under the reflection of this electric light, Xiao Chen's actions of brandishing his saber and roaring appeared desolate and tyrannical. If those who stood up and moved were a pack of wolves, then Xiao Chen was the king of beasts, an overlord that inspired fear in others. When an overlord raged, who dared to move? The many blue-robed emperors, whose rationality was clouded by desire, were all forced back by this thunderous roar. Even the demon elites, who were as strong as the 10 outstanding talents, were startled by this roar. They did not dare to move rashly, becoming distracted. Some of the more timid and weak-willed people fell into the air. Their legs went numb, and they fell to the ground, frightened into trembling and retreating continuously. Who dared to move? No one dared to move. With one roar, Xiao Chen scared off hundreds of blue-robed emperors. Such an effect naturally had something to do with the fact that Xiao Chen had infused his peak will of thunder into his voice. The peak will of thunder was already on the verge of materializing illusory. When combined with his roar, it could place immense mental pressure on others. This was especially so for lightning. This attribute was berserk in the first place, and symbolized the heavenly Tao's punishment. When the lightning vanished, Xiao Chen looked coldly at the surrounding group of people. Then he pushed off the air and flew towards the snake head in the air. A pure white flower bloomed on the snake's head, looking somewhat alluring in this gloomy world filled with death qi. This flower, which exuded life force, was very eye-catching. This was the flower of life that Xiao Chen dreamed of. On the other side, Dugu Ao and the others took advantage of the time when Xiao Chen held back the many blue-robed emperors to successfully obtain the mutated demonic essence pill. Once Xiao Chen obtained the flower of life, the goal of this trip to the human demon paradise would be accomplished. Wounds riddled Ao Jiao's body, all from the mutated flying dragon snake. But at this moment, she didn't feel any pain. Seeing Xiao Chen getting closer and closer to the tongue, Ao Jiao felt nothing but joy in her heart. Advancing to martial emperor in 5 years had always been a huge mountain pressing down on Xiao Chen's heart. Today he finally saw a trace of hope. The goal she had been looking forward to for a long time had finally been fulfilled. How could she not be happy? Watching Xiaochen fly towards the head of the soaring serpent, the blue-robed emperor that had been scared away by Xiaochen did not dare to act rashly. Their imposing manner had long since been completely destroyed by Xiaochen's explosive shout in the depths of their hearts. Amidst the blood rain, tens of thousands of lightning bolts illuminated the world, leaving only black and white. That scene would be unforgettable for them for the rest of their lives. It would become an indelible shadow in their hearts. Just when everyone thought that no one could stop Xiaochen from snatching the flower of life, a voice suddenly rang out. Suddenly, two ghostly figures appeared in the air. These two ghostly figures were hidden in the death chi in space, looking like they had appeared out of nowhere. One of them sent a palm strike at Xiaochen. When the two palm strikes flew out, they seemed to drive all the death chi in the entire death swamp, shaking the world and making it tremble endlessly. The two huge black palms were like demonic claws as they attacked Xiaochen. As long as Xiaochen continued to snatch the flower of life, he would be struck by these two palms. He would not have any chance to dodge. Clearly, the two ghost race half-step Emperor Wu were trying to force back Xiaochen, preventing him from obtaining the flower of life. If Xiaochen dared to take it, he would have to endure the damage from these two palms. Furthermore, the demonic claws were so dense that they seemed to have materialized. Wherever they passed, cracks would appear in the space around them. From this, one could imagine just how powerful they were. The ghost race's half-step Emperor Wu, the blue-robed emperor, and the 10 outstanding talents were all stunned at the same time. They could not understand why the ghost race experts of the Kunlun continent, who were tens of millions of kilometers away, would come to the human-demon paradise. In the history of the human-demon sea, such a situation had never happened before. Furthermore, there were two of them at the same time. However, that was not all. Two ancient coffins flew out of the death swamp at the same time. The coffins landed with a paw sound, and the two corpse race half-step Emperor Wu with cold expressions opened their eyes. Without saying a word, they walked out of the coffins and started attacking the surrounding demon blue-robed emperors. This was the absolute difference in strength. In an instant, several human-demon quasi-emperors died on the spot before they could figure out the situation. Boom! A sagely song rang out, and two golden pillars of light descended from the sky. The holy light illuminated the dark death swamp. Two deity race half-step Emperor Wu experts with white hair and black eyes descended from the sky. They formed hand seals and sent down waves of holy light. Strong mental energy martial techniques gave off resplendent lights as they landed on the ground. Miserable shrieks rang out everywhere. This caused the blue-robed Emperor Mixed Blood below to flee, not daring to remain for long. 6 human half-step Emperor Wu figures appeared at the edge of the death swamp in the distance. These 6 wore masks, preventing others from seeing their faces clearly. However, the strong auras of their bodies were all terrifyingly strong. With one look, it was clear that they were not ordinary half-step Emperor Wu. With just 2 steps, they arrived at the scene. Similarly, without saying a word, he attacked the surrounding demonic human quasi-emperors without hesitation. The expressions of Pei Yan and the others changed dramatically. No matter how this group of outstanding talents thought about it, they would never have expected so many half-step Emperor Wu to appear in the human-demon paradise. Furthermore, they were not ordinary half-step Emperor Wu. Even among half-step Emperor Wu, they were top-notch existences. The status of the demons was special. They were mixed bloods of the deep abyss demonic race and the human race. Furthermore, the demons had always been the enemy of all the races of the Kunlun continent. If not for the Bloodsword Sovereign, a demon-human expert, appearing out of nowhere 50,000 years ago and being ridiculously strong, resulting in an agreement with the 5 major races of the Kunlun continent, the demons would have been wiped out long ago. The demonic humans had long been wiped out. They would never exist again. Even so, the current Kunlun realm was still ruled by the 5 major races. The peak experts of the 5 major races would not feel any guilt coming over to kill demon mixed blood cultivators. They would not fear the demon mixed blood cultivators seeking trouble. If they dared to seek trouble, having the demon bloodline was a sin in the first place. In terms of peak strength, any prime of the continent's races could easily slaughter all the demon mixed blood cultivators. Let's go. These people are trying to clear the area. They do not want others to see what they are doing. When Pei Yan saw that the half-step Emperor Wu did not care about the demon mixed blood cultivators fleeing, he immediately guessed the result. Pei Yan glanced at Xiao Chun, who was being held back by the two ghost race half-step Emperor Wu. As Pei Yan retreated, he somewhat understood what was going on. These people's target was the white-robed bladesman in the air. With this thought, Pei Yan could not help being horrified. What kind of existence was this fellow? Unexpectedly, he offended so many half-step Emperor Wu experts. As Pei Yan thought about this, he did not stop moving, retreating with all his might. Although Pei Yan could defeat some half-step Emperor Wu, they were ordinary half-step Emperor Wu like Old Man Feng and Wang Yang. If he ran into a true half-step Emperor Wu expert, he would die. If Pei Yan did not leave now, he would not be able to even if he wanted to. Such a strange turn of events happened in an instant. No matter who it was, no one would have expected such a scene. When Xiao Chen, who was in the air, saw the two ghost race half-step Emperor Wu appear, his expression changed. Before coming, Xiao Chen had been feeling uneasy. He knew that the flower of life would not be so easy to obtain. However, when he saw such a large formation, he could not help feeling surprised. How could Xiao Chen be capable of provoking so many major characters to make a move at the same time, sending 10-odd half-step Emperor Wu to deal with him? There was no other purpose than to prevent Xiao Chen from advancing to Martial Emperor, to prevent him from obtaining the flower of life. If Xiao Chen gave up now and dodged these two horrifying demonic claws, letting the other party obtain the flower of life, nothing would happen to him. After the other party destroyed the flower of life, they would leave calmly. In their opinion, a descendant of the Qing Emperor, who could not advance to Martial Emperor, would not be worth paying attention to. It was just a meteor. What was there to fear? However, if Xiao Chen did not give up and still wanted to obtain the flower of life, then enduring the damage from these two demonic claws would be a painful start. The 10-odd half-step Emperor, Wu, would not give Xiao Chen a chance to speak. They would beat him half to death, and use the most brutal method to snatch away the flower of life. It looked like the result would be the same regardless of whether Xiao Chen chose the former or the latter. He would not be able to obtain the flower of life in the end. However, even if the result was the same, Xiao Chen would choose the latter without hesitation. The reason was none other than his attitude, a flame that never extinguished in his heart. It was a dream, a hope, and an unyielding faith. Blue Dragon Battle Armor materialize. A resolute light flashed on Xiao Chen's delicate face. He materialized the Blue Dragon Battle Armor and flew towards the Flower of Life without hesitation. The path to Martial Emperor involved risking one's life. Even if one was consigned to eternal damnation, one would never give up. After materializing the Blue Dragon Battle Armor, Xiao Chen leaped into the air and plucked the Flower of Life from the mutated flying dragon snake's head. Then he placed it in his universe ring. However, after Xiao Chen completed this series of actions, the demonic palms that the two ghost race half-step Emperor Wu sent out also attacked from the front and back. It looked like two palms were pressing together as they struck Xiao Chen. Buzz. Space trembled, swaying left and right like a clock. Formless spatial winds surged out in all directions. The shockwaves spread throughout the entire death swamp. The ground cracked, and all the flying dragon snakes in the swamp shattered. After this battle, the flying dragon snakes in the human-demon paradise would probably all die. Dugu Ao took the initiative to block Ao Jiao and Mu Xian, helping them block the shockwaves from the spatial tremors. Before the shockwaves scattered, a figure wearing azure-patterned battle armor descended from the air like a sharp arrow, arriving where Dugu Ao and the other two were. Pussy Eye. After Xiao Chen landed, he vomited a mouthful of blood. He clenched his teeth with a pale complexion as he endured the intense pain from his injuries. Cracks appeared on Xiao Chen's battle armor. However, as he circulated the blue dragon vital qi in his body, the cracks on the battle armor healed at a visible rate. After the blue dragon body nourishing art reached the third layer, the blue dragon battle armor that he materialized already allowed Xiao Chen's defense to rival that of Emperor Wu's golden body. Although Xiao Chun was severely injured, he could still stand and fight against the peak strikes of these two half-step Emperor Wu, who used the death energy of this place to execute them. Chapter 12:16. Xiao Chun. Ao Jiao stepped forward and asked anxiously, her eyes filled with worry. Xiao Chun turned around and smiled faintly, indicating that he was fine. Then, while Ao Jiao was not paying attention, he waved his right hand and quickly pulled Ao Jiao into the immortal spirit ring. Xiao Chun sealed the exit of the ring and vomited another mouthful of blood. Mu Xian stepped forward and placed her hand on Xiao Chun's shoulder. A clump of pink light appeared in her palm and quickly entered Xiao Chun's body. Xiao Chun immediately felt all the pain disappear. However, his injuries still had not healed. This should be the innate skill of the Eros demons, which temporarily numbed the pain. Now, not a single demon mixed blood remained in the previously bustling death swamp. The various half-step Emperor Wus pressed forward, step by step. They formed an encirclement, sealing off all paths of retreat for Xiao Chun's group. There were a total of 12 half-step Emperor Wus. Their strong auras pressed down, making breathing difficult. Normally, even if Xiao Chun and Dugu Ao ran into one of these half-step Emperor Wus, they would not dare to say that they could easily defeat them. Now that there were 12, there was no hope at all. Xiao Chun looked at them one by one. The two deity race half-step Emperor Wu should have been sent by Emperor Forsaken. Needless to say, the two ghost race half-step Emperor Wus were definitely sent by the Dongyue Ghost Emperor. Naturally, the two corpse race half-step Emperor Wus were sent by the Xingtian Emperor. As for the 6 masked human experts, the corners of Xiao Chun's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a mocking expression. Since they already sent people out, what was the point of wearing masks? Masks could cover their faces, but could they hide the aura of their holy beast martial spirits? As soon as the 6 half-step Emperor Wu of the human race appeared, Xiao Chun knew that they were the 3 holy lord of the 3 holy masters' land. It was just that the other party didn't want to shed their last layer of cordiality, so they put on a mask for their own people. Thinking about it, it was really laughable. At the same time, in a boundlessly distant place, where the Thunder King was in closed-door cultivation, Bushan Palace in the Kunlun continent's central province, the Thunder King was sitting cross-legged and talking to the 2 shadows in front of him. One of the masters of the image was the Haotian Martial Emperor, the new prime of the Kunlun continent's human race. The other was the Fox King, the strongest martial emperor of the fiend race, also a prime. Thunder King, are we really not going to help this time? The projection of the Haotian Emperor asked worriedly. Naturally, the matter he was referring to was the matter of the prime sending people to stop Xiao Chun from obtaining the flower of life. The deity race's Emperor Forsaken and the ghost race's Dongyue Ghost Emperor and Xingtian could reverse the heavenly Tao and calculate Xiao Chun's tribulation point. Naturally, they could do so as well. The Thunder King's aged face remained calm. He said indifferently, "There is no need to make a move. Just let nature take its course. A tribulation point is a tribulation point. If we purposely do it, it will only make the tribulation point more difficult. There is no point in doing so." After a pause, the Thunder King continued. "Furthermore, even I cannot figure out the tribulation point this time. There are too many variables, truly puzzling." The Haotian Emperor and the Fox King looked at each other in surprise. The Fox King asked tentatively, "What variables?" The Thunder Sovereign shook his head and said, "I can only make out one person. There is another one. No matter how I look at it, I cannot make out anything. That person clearly does not have a dense luck like Xiao Chun does. However, he is unfathomable. The Haotian Emperor was still a little worried. There is really no need to make a move. This time, even the 3 holy masters can't help but make a move." The Thunder King nodded firmly. There is no need to make a move. They also know where the bottom line is. They will not act recklessly. After the conversation ended, the Haotian Emperor and the Fox King's projections flickered a few times before they disappeared from the secret chamber, leaving the Thunder King alone. After the 2 left, the Thunder King's appearance aged even more. He muttered, "What exactly is the second variable? Why can't I figure it out at all?" After saying that, the Thunder King started calculating again, feeling dissatisfied. The life force in his body drained quickly. Strands of dense life force almost materialized and came out of the top of his head. After a while, the Thunder King opened his eyes. He saw a youth flickering with black and white lights with a sword on his back. However, that youth's face was blurry. He could not see it clearly no matter what. The Thunder King was dissatisfied. He formed hand seals and drained even more life force. Suddenly, the Thunder King vomited a mouthful of blood. He finally saw that youth's face clearly, saw the pure golden flames burning in the youth's eyes. The Thunder King immediately revealed an expression of understanding. He muttered, "So that is the case. You also left a backup plan." In Death Swamp, Xiaochen looked at the 12 half-step Emperor Wu in the air. Then he said slowly, "Dugu Ao, take Miss Mu and leave. They are here for me. They will not stop you." When Dugu Ao heard this, he smiled. Then he looked at the 12 half-step Emperor Wu in the air as well. He asked, "Brother Xiao, have you decided to give up? Have I given up?" Naturally, he did not. However, when facing these 12 half-step martial emperors, every one of them was no weaker than him. Even with that plume feather, it was impossible for me to break out of this encirclement. It was not that Xiaochen was undervaluing himself. Rather, the situation before him was truly unresolvable. All Xiaochen could do was choose an attitude, fight with his life on the line. Even if he died miserably on the path of seeking enlightenment, he would persevere to the end, never giving up. Dugu Ao turned his head and smiled. Interesting. It turns out that Brother Xiao has moments of helplessness as well. Your expression clearly shows that you are seeking death. If this is not giving up, what is it? After Dugu Ao spoke, his expression suddenly turned incredibly serious. You once said that there are some oaths that should not be broken after they are made. Let me tell you this as well. There are some things that you choose to persevere on and never give up on. I, Dugu Ao, will help you block these 12 half-step Emperor Wu. Xian, help me hold him down. Before Xiaochen could react, Mu Xian's hands landed on his shoulders. While he was distracted, she used the innate martial technique of the Eros demon race to trap him where he stood. Far away, Pei Yan's group, who had already fled far away, extended their mental perception to the maximum, quietly observing everything here. Several people who sensed the auras of half-step Emperor Wu all rushed over. Then they silently observed from a distance. However, they were extremely cautious. No one dared to advance rashly. Instead, they approached to watch the show. 12 foreign half-step Emperor Wu appeared in the human-demon paradise at the same time. This was something rarely seen since ancient times. Some of the half-step martial emperor experts revealed horrified expressions when they heard the descriptions of the newcomers from the people who had escaped. Based on these descriptions, these half-step Emperor Wu seemed to be the direct subordinates of the primes of the Kunlun continent. This was the intention of the primes. Some primes wanted to make a move on that white-robed bladesman. Immediately, these people no longer dared to think about going to Death Swamp to watch the show. Even the old black iron monster, a ruthless person who could kill Emperor Wu, did not dare to act rashly. The identity of that white-robed bladesman piqued everyone's curiosity. What kind of existence could he be for so many primes to make a move at the same time? Everyone had their own opinions, but no one could give an accurate answer. Inside Death Swamp, Xiaochen was conscious, but he could not move his body. Mu Xian used a strange technique to paralyze Xiaochen's body. Strands of pink energy entered Xiaochen's body and slowly healed his injuries. This did not look like a technique for trapping people. Instead, it looked more like an Eros demon's healing martial technique. Dugu Ao looked at the 12 half-step Emperor Wu experts in the air. Then he stepped forward and blocked Xiaochen, silently expressing his stance. The deity race expert in the air smiled coldly and arrogantly. Interesting. A mixed-blood bastard dares to meddle in other people's business. Do you know who you are facing now? Even the human demon sees Emperor Wu did not dare to stop us. To think that a bastard like you dares to stand up for him. Quickly scram. Even if your father, Dugu Kuang, came, he would not dare to interfere in today's matter. Take your woman and leave immediately. Don't blame us for not warning you. It seemed like Dugu Ao's clan was not simple in the human demon sea. The 12 half-step Emperor Wu experts, who had been silent all this while, all shouted coldly when they saw Dugu Ao step forward. They did not make a move immediately. Far away, the many cultivators paying close attention to this place were all stunned when they saw Dugu Ao step forward. Is he stupid? To think that he is facing 12 half-step Emperor Wu experts at the same time for the sake of an outsider. It's over. He is really tired of living. We already told him to leave, but he is still not leaving. These demon mixed-blood cultivators felt that Dugu Ao's actions were not worth it. However, when some people heard Dugu Ao being called a bastard, they felt a strange bitterness in their hearts. No matter how proud they were or how talented they were, in the eyes of this group of outsiders, demon mixed-blood cultivators were still considered bastards. Dugu Ao's lips curled up slightly. He smiled somewhat self-mockingly and said, "Bastard? What you said is not wrong. I, Dugu Ao, am indeed a bastard. There is nothing to deny. I have the blood of the deep abyss demon race flowing in my body. However, my heart will always be proud. Even if I am a bastard, I am still 100 times, 10,000 times stronger than you bunch of shameless people who use numbers to bully others. There are some things that you bunch of people will never understand. The persistence and dreams of some people cannot be tarnished by you bunch of lackeys." Right after Dugu Ao spoke, his eyes suddenly turned scarlet. A strong wind blew, and an incomparably horrifying aura surged out from his body. A demon seemed to be released from Dugu Ao's body. His body turned into a greedy funnel. Dugu Ao's body absorbed the boundless demonic chi in the death swamp. This caused his aura to soar. After a while, he actually managed to block the auras of 12 half-step blue-robed emperors by himself. Suddenly, Dugu Ao attacked ferociously. A demon mixed-blood cultivator corpse flew over from the ground. Dugu Ao opened his mouth and bit the corpse's neck. In the blink of an eye, Dugu Ao sucked up all the blood in the corpse. Dugu Ao's hair turned scarlet and grew wildly. Soon Dugu Ao's hair reached Dugu Ao's waist. His clothes tore, and a pair of scarlet, fleshy wings grew on his back. With a gentle flap, he hovered in the air. Chapter 12:17. When the mysterious red-clad man hiding in the darkness saw this scene, he was greatly startled. Unexpectedly, the bloodline of a demonic human had reached king grade, and even awakened the rare blood demon transformation. The blood demon transformation. Several of the blood demon's demon monarch's bloodline were only at this level, perhaps even weaker. Such a change stunned the 12 half-step Emperor Wu. Unexpectedly, an unremarkable mixed-blood bastard could erupt with such a startling aura. "Bastard, are you thinking of overturning the heavens?" In the sky, the two deity race half-step Emperor Wu snorted coldly. Then, they attacked at the same time, forming hand seals and sending out mental energy martial techniques. The light in the sky condensed into a divine sword, punishing Dugu Ao. Dugu Ao turned around and glared. A red light flashed in his eyes, spreading a berserk murderous intent, striking fear in others. With this glare, the two deity race half-step martial emperors felt an indescribable horror. Overturning the heavens? I never thought of it. However, today you want to bully me, Dugu Ao, with numbers? I absolutely will not allow that. Mu Xian, bring Xiaoqin away. Dugu Ao maintained his last bit of rationality. After he spoke, he waved his hand and drew out most of the death chi in the human-demon paradise. Right now, he was like a fish in water in this human-demon paradise with dense death chi. The amount of death chi he could draw out was even more than that of the two ghost race half-step Emperor Wus combined. Dugu Ao easily dealt with the attacks of the two deity race experts with one palm strike. Reluctance flashed in Mu Xian's eyes, as well as intense conflict. However, in the end, she made up her mind to bring Xiaoqin away. In the end, she was shocked to discover that Xiaoqin, whom she had trapped with her Eros demon secret technique, was not completely paralyzed. He was still resisting her secret technique. If she moved, Xiaoqin would immediately regain his freedom. Her expression involuntarily turned anxious. Xiaoqin, just come with me. Mu Xian was so anxious that she nearly cried. Xiaoqin did not move. He could not speak, but his consciousness was clear. With Dugu Ao's current state, he could indeed block 12 half-step Emperor Wu. However, it would not be easy. Once this state disappeared, only death awaited Duguao. He couldn't leave. He couldn't watch his friend die for him. High up in the sky changed color, winds blew and clouds churned. Although the berserk Duguao was in a somewhat sorry state, he could fight 1 against 12, truly blocking all the half-step Emperor Wu. With a raise of his hand, most of the human demon paradise would tremble, filling the sky above the human demon paradise with surging black clouds. The cultivators watching from afar were all stunned. They had long known that Duguao had not used his blood demon innate talent, and cultivated the quintessence of the human race. However, Xiaochen had not expected Duguao to be so ridiculously strong after he used the blood demon's innate talent, and went berserk. Duguao laughed loudly, completely ignoring his injuries as he fought against the 12 half-step Emperor Wu. He was like a helpless ruffian. As long as anyone dared to go down, he would pester them, not caring about anything else. Duguao casually glanced around, and saw that Xiaochen had not left yet. He could not help crying out hoarsely, "Go! What are you still standing there for?" While Duguao was distracted, the 2 Ghost Race half-step Emperor Wu found an opportunity to attack him. One from the front and one from the back. When experts exchanged moves, how could they allow themselves to be distracted? This was especially so for the ridiculously strong half-step Emperor Wu. "You are seeking death." Duguao roared. His figure flickered like a phantom as he sent 2 palm strikes back, causing the 2 Ghost Race cultivators to vomit blood and retreat. Just as Duguao wanted to follow up with another attack, the other half-step Emperor Wu charged over. Both sides immediately fell into a stalemate again. However, Duguao had something holding him back. Occasionally, he turned his head back to look. When he saw that Xiaochen still had not left, he could not help reminding him. "Go!" Duguao cried out hoarsely. Every time he cried out, someone would take the opportunity to severely injure him, causing him to vomit large mouthfuls of blood. His miserable state was very frightening. However, Duguao did not stop. As long as he found an opportunity in the frenzied battle, he would cry out, his cries echoing in the sky. "Go! Go! Go!" The word "go" reverberated throughout the entire human demon paradise, sounding sorrowful and sorrowful. Everyone's expressions changed. However, could Xiaochen really leave? Could he leave? Of course not. The words "go, go, go" were like thunder, each word stained with blood. How could he leave in peace? Xiaochen's body, which had been paralyzed by Wuxia, trembled slightly. His hands, which hung by his side, trembled endlessly. In such a difficult situation, he clenched them into fists. Xiaochen's eyes looked like they were about to bleed. Every word that Duguao said, "Go," was like a knife deeply carved into Xiaochen's heart. Wuxia, who was behind, bit her lip. Fragrant sweat covered her forehead. She felt that she could no longer control Xiaochen. This made her feel very surprised. The succubus race's secret technique was the innate ability of succubi. Normally, when it was used by surprise, it would cause the succubus race to lose all of its strength. Normally, when it was executed unexpectedly, even someone as strong as the half-step Emperor Wu would find it hard to struggle free. As time went by, he would slowly fall asleep. This was not an offensive martial technique. It was just an innate ability of the Eros demons. Its main purpose was to put people into a deep sleep, so that they could harvest their energy. This allowed the energy of the target to be harvested to be drained unknowingly, while they were asleep. Naturally, Wuxia did not want to harvest Xiaochen right now. She just wanted Xiaochen to fall asleep, so she could bring him away from this place, not letting down Duguao's efforts. However, the reality was somewhat unexpected. Xiaochen's willpower was unexpectedly strong. Not only did he not fall asleep, but he even struggled even more intensely, showing signs of breaking free at any moment. This placed even more pressure on Wuxia. If this continued, Xiaochen would really break free. At that time, Duguao would be risking his life, wasting the opportunity that he obtained. Tears flickered in Wuxia's eyes as she started crying anxiously. At this moment, she felt extreme regret. If she had not gotten Duguao to help her obtain the mutated demonic essence core, none of this would have happened. In such an anxious situation, A certain mysterious red-clad man hidden in the darkness calmly analyzed the situation for a while before giving up on making a move. The battle in the sky leaned more and more in favor of the 12 half-step Emperor Wu's. In the end, it was still too much to fight 1 against 12. If not for the dense demonic chi in this human-demon paradise, Duguao would have gained the upper hand. Even if he executed the blood demon transformation, the innate ability of the blood demon race, he would not be able to last for so long. Most importantly, the duration of the blood demon transformation seemed to be about to end. When Xiao Chen saw this, his heart bled. This was the thing that he feared the most in his life. There were some things that he could have saved but ended up regretting for some reason. For example, if Xiao Chen could struggle free of Mu Xian's control, Duguao would not die. Back then, when Ao Jiao blocked the lightning tribulation for him, Xiao Chen swore that he would not let something like that happen to him again. He did not want to experience that kind of regret and heart-wrenching pain again. Right now, Xiao Chen did not blame Mu Xian. Everyone had their own perseverance. In Mu Xian's world, Duguao's words were the only thing that mattered. Even if Duguao asked her to die, she would not hesitate to do so. Endure. Don't die. Please don't die. As Xiao Chen watched Duguao continue to resist, he did his best to struggle free. Veins bulged on his tightly clenched fists, and sweat continuously dripped down his forehead. Xiao Chen slowly regained control of his body, slowly expelling Mu Xian's pink energy from his body. After a long time, Xiao Chen also found a way to deal with this pink energy. After executing it, it slowly took effect. Boom! Suddenly, Duguao's aura plummeted. The duration of the blood demon transformation came to an end. Bastard, go and die. After being delayed for so long by Duguao and injuring several half-step Emperor Wu, Duguao would not be able to vent the hatred in his heart if he did not kill him. Seeing that Duguao could no longer maintain the blood demon transformation, and that his prestige had dropped significantly, the rage that the 12 half-step martial emperors had been suppressing for a long time erupted at the same time. Their figures flashed as they charged at Duguao. Duguao coughed endlessly, and blood flowed continuously. As he watched the 12 half-step blue-robed emperors charge at him, his consciousness slowly turned hazy. Before Duguao fainted, he turned his head back and saw that Xiao Chen had not left yet. He wanted to shout one more time, one last time. However, Duguao's throat was already hoarse from all the shouting. This time, he simply could not do it. He opened his mouth and silently shouted in his heart, "Go!" Then he closed his eyes and lost consciousness. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. No, the instant Duguao closed his eyes, a clear opening appeared in Mu Xian's mental state. Xiao Chen, who was about to struggle free in the first place, roared ferociously and shot forward. Just as the 12 half-step Emperor Wus were about to reach Duguao, Xiao Chen shouted, "Die!" Without even thinking, Duguao took out the trump card he had been saving, the golden plume feather. This golden plume feather, which could kill Emperor Wu, released a dazzling light the instant it burned. It was as dazzling as the sun, so bright that no one dared to open their eyes. At that moment, the light of this golden plume feather covered the entire human-demon paradise. Sensing a dangerous aura, the expressions of the 12 half-step Emperor Wus changed. When they clearly saw the golden plume feather, they were all startled. Originally, these half-step Emperor Wus were charging forward, wanting to deal a fatal blow to Duguao, whose fate was unknown. However, when they saw the golden plume feather, they frantically retreated. However, it was already too late. No matter how fast the few people at the front retreated, they could not dodge it completely. Miserable cries rang out. When the light swept past the 4 human experts at the front, they turned into ashes, dying without a complete corpse. The others who were caught in the shockwave all suffered injuries that were neither light nor severe. At the very least, there were still 6 half-step Emperor Wus who could hold their own. Even if Xiao Chen were not injured, he would not be a match for them. Furthermore, he was currently riddled with internal injuries. After Xiao Chen analyzed the situation rationally, he supported the unconscious Duguao and looked coldly at the half-step Emperor Wus. Then he quickly returned to Mu Xian's side. "Let's go." Before Xiao Chen could explain to Mu Xian in detail, He carried Dugu Ao with one hand and Mu Xian with the other as he quickly headed to the back. Chapter 12:18. Why did Xiao Chen not head for the exit? There were too many demon mixed blood experts there, watching quietly. Given Xiao Chen's current state, if these demon mixed blood cultivators became greedy, they would just be walking into a trap. They could only head deeper into the human demon sea. This is the moment I was waiting for. Die. However, just at this moment, the mysterious red-clad man, who had been quietly waiting for an opportunity, saw Xiao Chen toss out his final trump card. The instant Xiao Chen landed, he suddenly made his move. That red-clad man's body turned into a stream of scarlet liquid and continuously elongated. Then he turned into a thin red beam of light and shot toward Xiao Chen's chest at lightning speed. How fast? The expression of Xiao Chen, who was carrying Dugu Ao and Mu Xian, changed drastically. Shock flashed in his heart. His thoughts raced as he quickly tried to think of a countermeasure. However, he helplessly discovered that in his current state, he could not dodge the scarlet beam of light that shot towards him. This person was like the coldest venomous snake in the world, hiding in the darkness. As long as his prey showed an opening, he would immediately make his move, killing him in one strike. Damn it! Am I going to die in the end? Xiao Chen, who had no trump cards left, felt despair in his heart as he looked at that strange and mysterious martial technique. What a coincidence! I was waiting for this moment as well. He will not die at your hands. Just as that red beam of light was about to pierce Xiao Chen's chest and suck away Xiao Chen's blood, a figure suddenly appeared. It was like this figure had been waiting for a long time. Light and darkness, two different colors, met in the air and formed a youth with a sword on his back and a faint smile on his face. In the time it took for a spark to fly, the young swordsman withdrew his smile and attacked coldly, quickly drawing the sword on his back. Xiao! The sword light flickered, and the sword intent was startling. The young swordsman held his sword horizontally in front of his chest with both hands, using the blade of his sword to block that strange red beam of light. There was a loud bang, as if something had hit the stone floor. Bloodlines continued to accumulate, forming a figure once more. The figure howled in pain as it was knocked back. The red-clothed youth clutched his head with his right hand. His sure kill attack had been blocked. He glared at the person who had come and shouted, "Chu Chaoyan, how dare you spoil my plans?" After surviving the calamity, Xiao Chen's face was filled with astonishment. This time it was really an accident. He wasn't surprised that the three great supreme beings had sent people to stir up trouble. However, he hadn't expected that they would put in so much effort. However, the appearance of Chu Chaoyan was completely unexpected. No matter how hard Xiao Chen racked his brains, he would never have imagined that this person would appear. With just a glance, one could tell that the mysterious man in red was a powerful figure from the Abyss Devil race. Thinking about it carefully, it was reasonable for the Abyss Devil race's expert to appear here. Back then, the Qing Emperor could single-handedly drive back the 18 demon emperors. Even the Netherworld hierarch was injured by the Qing Emperor. Xiao Chen led the Dragon's Gate's war venerate into and out of the deep abyss demonic world several times, killing several demon race experts and being unrivaled for an era. It would be strange if such a person did not inspire fear in the other party. It made perfect sense for the other party to send someone to stop Xiao Chen from becoming the second Qing Emperor. Only Chu Chaoyan, a person who was both friend and foe, an unfathomable character, appeared here. Xiao Chen was not surprised at all. Why exactly did he appear here? Furthermore, he even helped Xiao Chen block this sure-kill attack. Before Xiao Chen could continue thinking, the many half-step Emperor Wu, who were knocked back by the golden plume feather, recovered their strength and regrouped, charging at him. Xiao Chen pushed off the ground, and a heavy murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Then he led Mu Xian and Dugu Ao towards the depths of the human-demon paradise. After him, of the 6 half-step Emperor Wu from the 3 Holy Masters' land died. The losses were extremely heavy. The remaining 2 roared ferociously and led the remaining people in the direction that Xiao Chen fled. Chu Chaoyun, who was facing off with the red-clad blood demon, looked back, and a large golden flame shot out from his eyes, blocking the path of the group of people. The moment the golden flame appeared, it burned space. It was like a great desolate ferocious beast opening its mouth and slowly swallowing everything. Soon, it swallowed up most of the space, looking extremely horrifying. Heavenly flame. The pursuing half-step Emperor Wu were startled and quickly retreated. However, halfway back, they suddenly discovered that something was wrong. They reacted and said, "That's not right. This is not a complete heavenly flame." This was indeed not a complete heavenly flame, as it did not contain the heavenly flame's origin flame. Although this heavenly flame was strong, it was just a facade. As long as the half-step Emperor Wu used law energy, they could protect their physical bodies and charge through this horrifying heavenly flame. This was the best time to pursue Xiao Chun and Dugu Ao's group without wasting their time. The group of half-step Emperor Wu glared at Chu Chaoyan, their eyes brimming with murderous intent and rage. However, when they saw the person facing off with Chu Chaoyan, the expressions of the remaining 8 half-step Emperor Wus changed involuntarily. A high-ranked blood demon. That mysterious red-clad man clearly had the aura of a high-ranked blood demon. Furthermore, he did not have the aura of any other race. He was a genuine expert of the devil race, not a mixed blood. Strange, why would there be a high-ranking devil race in this place? Doubts gathered in everyone's hearts. This group of high-ranking devils should most likely appear in the star battlefield. As Chu Chaoyan looked at this group of half-step Emperor Wu with mountainous auras and overflowing killing chi, he smiled faintly and said indifferently, "Why aren't you giving chase? If we don't give chase now, we won't be able to catch up to him." The group of half-step Emperor Wu seemed to wake up from a dream. Only now did they remember that the main purpose of this trip was to pursue Xiao Chun and prevent him from obtaining the flower of life, rather than staying here and dawdling with some irrelevant people. As for why the devil experts would appear here, it was not something they needed to worry about. "You fellow. I'll deal with you later." After glaring at Chu Chaoyan, the many half-step Emperor Wu soared into the air and gave chase in the direction that Xiao Chun had gone. "Chu Chaoyan, do you really think that I do not dare to make a move on you?" The half-step Emperor Wu asked coldly when he saw that Chu Chaoyan dared to split his attention to block Xiao Chun. The red-clad man asked coldly, feeling looked down on. Chu Chaoyan slowly sheathed the sword in his hand. Then he smiled humbly and said, "Naturally, I do not dare." "Don't give me that," the red-clad man said. "I am here on the orders of the Night Blood Demon Monarch to kill the Qing Emperor's descendant. Why are you blocking me? Are you trying to oppose the Demon Monarch?" Chu Chaoyan bowed slightly. Despite the red-clad man's overbearing words, he remained as calm as still water. He said indifferently, "I do not dare. I am only here to tell you that you have a new mission. We need to depart immediately." The red-clad man smiled coldly and said, "Do you think I'm a fool? Do you think I don't know better than you whether I have a mission or not? In the 18 realms of the deep abyss, only the Night Blood Demon Monarch can order me around and give me missions. My current mission is to kill the Qing Emperor's descendant. Anyone who blocks me will be disrespecting the Demon Monarch and will have to die." As the red-clad man spoke, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He took a step forward and pressed forward. "Break one of your arms first, and I will pretend this never happened. Otherwise, when the Night Blood Demon Monarch finds out, you will not survive even if you have 9 lives." Chu Chaoyan remained unmoved. Just as the red-clad man was about to fly into a rage, a deep and cold black medallion suddenly appeared in Chu Chaoyan's hand. The Netherworld Medallion. When the overbearing red-clad man saw this medallion, he turned pale with fright. He was in some disbelief and no longer had his earlier overbearing attitude. The Netherworld Medallion. Anyone who could hold the Netherworld Medallion had to be here on orders from the Dark Church's highest echelon. They were special envoys that even the Demon Monarch would be able to obtain. "Greetings, Lord Special Envoy." The red-clad man bowed as a look of dissatisfaction flashed in his eyes. Chu Chaoyan narrowed his eyes slightly and smiled faintly. "You are too polite. However, Yi Wuxin, you should be greeting Special Envoy Chaoyan, and not just Lord Special Envoy." The red-clad man Yi Wuxin suppressed the rage in his heart and said, "Yes, Yi Wuxin greets Special Envoy Chaoyan." "You are too polite." Chu Chaoyan smiled faintly and continued, Yi Wuxin, heed my orders. I order you to rush to the astral battlefield and suppress the rise of Di Wuk and the other Kunlun continent's younger generation. When Yi Wuxin heard this, he was greatly startled. You must be joking. Do the so-called outstanding talents of the Kunlun continent need to mobilize the demon race geniuses with king-grade bloodlines? Chu Chaoyun's tone remained calm and unhurried. He said, "This is your mission. Whether you believe it or not, it's up to you. You have the Netherworld medallion, so I'll believe you for now. However, if I find out that you lied to me, I will definitely not spare you." Although he was unwilling to leave just like that, Chu Chaoyun had come with the Netherworld token, so he had no choice but to rush to the Starry Sky battlefield immediately. Not at all. No matter how daring I am, I wouldn't dare to joke around with the Netherworld token, Chu Chaoyun said softly with a sincere look on his face. Yi Wuxin also guessed that Chu Chaoyun did not have such guts. After letting out a cold snort, he turned into a bloody light and bounced around, disappearing in front of Chu Chaoyun in the blink of an eye. Chu Chaoyun watched the other party leave and muttered, "A demon with a royal bloodline is indeed difficult to deal with. With this speed, I'm afraid there aren't many in the same generation who can catch up to him. But his brain is still a little lacking." Chu Chaoyun smiled faintly and brought the Netherworld medallion to his lips. He gently blew on it, and the so-called Netherworld medallion, which caused Yi Wuxin to tremble in fear, immediately turned into a pile of ashes and scattered with the wind. If Yi Wuxin were here and knew that Chu Chaoyun tricked him into leaving obediently, and even bowing to him, he would probably be so angry that he would vomit blood. On this side, Chu Chaoyun helped Xiao Chun get rid of a strong enemy with just a few words. On the other side, a team of 8 half-step Emperor Wu chased after Xiao Chun wildly. However, after losing the initiative, they lost sight of Xiao Chun in the complicated terrain of the human-demon paradise. They split up several times to search for him, but to no avail. They flew into a rage out of humiliation and wanted to turn back to seek trouble for Chu Chaoyun. However, they discovered that Chu Chaoyun was long gone. Now that both sides were empty, the originally angry Emperor Wu became even more frustrated. "Forget it, let's not chase after him. We'll just wait outside for him. There are still 10 more days before the human-demon paradise closes. When that time comes, the people inside will be forcefully teleported out. The instant he comes out, we'll take him down. There's no need to waste words with him," the masked expert of the 3 holy masters said coldly. Chapter 12:19. Let's do it that way. There is no need to fear him coming out. We absolutely cannot let this fellow advance to Martial Emperor. Otherwise he will trample on us. Look at his eyes. He looks like he wants to eat us up. The few of them quickly conversed. After reaching a consensus, they quickly came to a unanimous decision. They stood guard outside the stone stele, waiting for the human-demon paradise to close, and for Xiao Chun to be forcibly sent out. In an unremarkable valley in the depths of the human-demon paradise, Xiao Chun laid down a simple illusion formation, concealing his group in this complicated environment. When Xiao Chun walked over and saw the injured Dugu Ao, his expression turned terrifyingly sullen. "How is he?" Xiao Chun asked Mu Xian, who was currently treating Dugu Ao's injuries. Mu Xian shook her head, showing a sorrowful expression. Her voice trembled as she said, "His injuries are too severe. There are too many things. There is no way to treat him. His entire physical body feels like it is completely destroyed." When Xiao Chun heard that, his heart sank. On the surface of Dugu Ao's body, he could no longer see any part of it that was intact. Unexpectedly, Dugu Ao's internal injuries were even more severe than these horrifying external injuries. "Let me take a look." Walking over, Xiao Chun used the pulse reading method from the Compendium of Cultivation to check Dugu Ao's injuries. Moving his spiritual sense, Xiao Chun saw that Dugu Ao's internal organs were nearly all shattered, wriggling like a pile of meat paste. This made one feel sad for some reason. Xiao Chun finally understood why Mu Xian said that there was no way to treat Dugu Ao. Aside from these internal injuries, Dugu Ao's meridians were all ruptured and clogged up, preventing him from circulating his law energy. If not for a mysterious energy in Dugu Ao's bloodline slowly healing his injuries, Dugu Ao would have died long ago. However, the unconscious Dugu Ao instinctively resisted the awakening of that mysterious energy. Xiaochen's heart skipped a beat. He somewhat understood. If this mysterious energy completely occupied Dugu Ao's body, it would not be able to do anything to him. After this mysterious energy completely occupied Dugu Ao's body, Dugu Ao could only cultivate demonic qi and survive in this world as a blood demon, living a life that he disliked the most. His instincts made him resist the mysterious powers healing even when he was unconscious. However, if Dugu Ao continued resisting like this, when his life force completely disappeared, there would be no hope for him. If Xiaochen had to choose, he would rather let Dugu Ao become a demon with a single thought. Perhaps he might be able to find a way to salvage the situation in the future. Xiaochen let go and remained silent for a long time. The scene of Dugu Ao facing the 12 half-step Emperor Wu's shouting kept replaying in his mind. 12 half-step martial emperors surrounded Dugu Ao, but he could only watch helplessly. He would never forget this humiliation for the rest of his life. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. The sound of blood lingering in Dugu Ao's ears rang out. With every word, the 12 half-step Emperor Wu seized an opportunity to severely injure Dugu Ao. However, Dugu Ao did not forget. Even after the blood demon transformation disappeared, he still called out for Xiaochen to leave. Xiaochen thought to himself, if not for Dugu Ao still thinking about me, his injuries might not be as severe as they are now. Guilt, self-blame, murderous intent, and all sorts of other emotions filled Xiaochen's heart. At this moment, Xiaochen craved power. There had never been a moment where he craved power so much. There had never been a moment where he wanted to kill some people so much. Xiaochen opened the entrance to the immortal spirit ring and let Ao Jiao out. Then he begged, "Little Ao Jiao, don't let him die. No matter what, don't let him die. I beg of you." When Ao Jiao came out, she wanted to throw a tantrum. However, when she saw Xiaochen's eyes filled with complicated emotions, her heart ached for some reason. Even back then, on his path to martial emperor, Xiaochen had not suffered as much as Xiaochen. It could even be said that since ancient times, there had never been an outstanding talent who had walked the path to martial emperor as arduously as Xiaochen. "I'll do my best," Ao Jiao said softly. With Ao Jiao's help, even if Dugu Ao could not wake up immediately, she should be able to stop the loss of life force. With a flip of his hand, the flower of life and the death fruit appeared in Xiaochen's palm at the same time. The moment the life aura and the death aura appeared, they started fighting each other. Two clumps of energy, one black and one white, appeared on Xiaochen's palm, clashing with each other. When Ao Jiao saw this scene, she was mildly startled. She said, "You choose to break through now? That is too short. The human-demon paradise would only be open for 10 days. After 10 days, everyone would be forcefully sent out. If Xiaochen's process of condensing the heart of an emperor was interrupted, he would definitely fail. Killing him was the only way to advance to martial emperor in 5 years. 10 days was too risky." Ao Jiao shook her head and said, "Xiaochen, don't be rash." Determination appeared in Xiaochen's eyes as he said calmly, "I'm not being rash. Actually, this is my last chance. Even if I recover from my injuries, I still will not stand a chance against the 8 half-step Emperor Wu's waiting outside 10 days from now. Only by condensing the heart of an emperor and becoming a consummation blue-robed emperor can I have a chance of defeating them. The slightest mistake on the path to martial emperor will result in eternal damnation. If possible, I would not want to take such a risk. However, these people are forcing me. I already have no way out. I cannot live under the same sky as them. I am willing to pay the price of failing to advance to martial emperor, to bet the lives of this group of people. Either they die, or I die." The images of the remaining 8 half-step Emperor Wus appeared in Xiaochen's mind. A heavy murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Right after Xiaochen spoke, he stopped hesitating and directly swallowed the flower of life and death fruit. Xiaochen hovered in midair and sat down cross-legged. Then he quickly circulated the life and death art, which he could already recite backward. An intense life aura and a heavy death aura were like two vast armies fighting an intense battle in Xiao Qin's body. They fought for dominance. No one liked the other. The constant conflict caused Xiao Qin immense pain. He wanted to vomit blood and give up. Xiao Qin maintained his last bit of clarity, and used the life and death art to do his best to tame these two extremely vast energies. Only by perfectly taming and exhausting these two energies could the life and death art evolve layer by layer until it underwent a complete transformation, allowing Xiao Qin to condense the heart of an emperor that only Emperor Wu's possessed. Mysterious phenomena appeared in the air. One moment it was hell. The next moment it was heaven on earth. The changes were unfathomable and incredible. When Ao Jiao saw this, she felt very worried. 10 days was still too short. Outside the stone stele, the 8 half-step Emperor Wus of the various races sat cross-legged, each guarding a corner as they looked coldly at the exit of the human-demon paradise. Every time a demon mixed blood walked out of the exit, they would feel a vast killing intent that could topple mountains and flip the seas. This scared these human-demon sea cultivators into not even daring to breathe loudly. After these human-demon cultivators carefully walked far away, they panted heavily. When they saw the 8 half-step Emperor Wu's surging killing chi, they felt a deep fear. With 8 half-step Emperor Wu's experts guarding this place, even an expert of the old black iron monster's level would be stunned in an instant. Discussions broke out in the distance. Clearly, news of what happened in the human-demon paradise had already spread. As for the white-robed bladesman being able to escape from the attacks of 12 half-step Emperor Wu's half-step Emperor Wu, they were all astonished. Dugu Ao's crazed action at the last moment also influenced countless people. To be able to make a friend like Dugu Ao was truly the white-robed bladesman's fortune. Everyone felt some envy in their hearts. In this world where human relationships were as thin as water, if one wanted to have an ordinary friend, one would need to have some mutual benefits. However, at the last moment, Dugu Ao gave up on his chance to escape and stepped forward bravely, using his life to help Xiao Qin obtain a chance. Unfortunately, given the current situation, no matter how hard the two worked in the human-demon paradise, they would not be able to escape. When the 10 days passed and the two were forcibly sent out, they would still face the combined attacks of 8 half-step Emperor Wu's half-step Emperor Wu. Time passed day by day. The day of the human-demon paradise's closing drew closer, like a countdown to death. Many cultivators gathered outside the ancient stone stele, waiting for the final scene. The opening of the human-demon paradise was full of twists and turns. There were many unexpected surprises that no one could have expected. The strong appearance of the 12 half-step Emperor Wu's foreign half-step Emperor Wu completely disrupted the rules of the human-demon paradise, forcing many people to leave early. As a result, there were still 3 days before the human-demon paradise closed, but most of the people had already left. The reason was none other than the fact that no one wanted to be killed by mistake at the last moment. In the past few days, several demon mixed-blood cultivators had died at the hands of the 8 half-step Emperor Wu's half-step Emperor Wu. Perhaps it was because they were killed by mistake, or perhaps it was because they were in a bad mood and wanted to vent, causing everyone to feel anxious. However, no one dared to say anything. Logically speaking, the 8 half-step Emperor Wus were far from being able to suppress all the cultivators here. However, they had the primes behind them, giving them the capital to do whatever they wanted in the human-demon sea without any worries. In a desolate valley in the human-demon paradise, Xiao Qin was anxiously making a breakthrough. One was black, one was white. Life chi and death chi mixed together. At the very beginning, they had already started to merge together. However, they were still far from reaching a complete equilibrium. In the air, there were 4 rings of light of different colors behind Xiao Qin. Each ring of light had a different mysterious phenomenon in it. The 4 rings of light meant that Xiao Qin had already broken through to the 4th layer of the life and death art. There were still 3 more layers. As long as he could successfully break through, he would be able to condense a heart of an emperor in one go and advance to consummation blue-robed emperor. However, the latter 3 layers were each more dangerous than the one before. Every time Xiao Qin made a breakthrough, he would be at the gates of hell. Kasi. Suddenly, cracks appeared in the 4 rings of light behind Xiao Qin. The life and death qi in Xiao Chen's body went out of control. It was like a wild horse that had broken free of its reins, running amok in Xiao Chen's body. Xiao Chen's face turned sinister and horrifying at one moment, like a black-faced evil spirit from hell. Then it turned frighteningly pale, looking like he had died. Chapter 12:20. The black and white lights changed unpredictably, making the people who cared about him feel uneasy and uneasy. Ao Jiao showed a nervous expression. She knew that Xiao Chen was about to forcefully break through again. If he succeeded, he would enter the 5th layer of the life and death art. If he failed, everything would be over. Without a doubt, the further he went, the higher the chances of failure would be. The difficulty would multiply. It would be hard not to worry. Xiao. Suddenly, the light on Xiao Chen's body stopped flickering. A new ring of light appeared behind him. He had succeeded in forcefully breaking through to the 5th layer of the life and death art. Between life and death, Xiao Chen, who was sitting cross-legged, felt the vast mental energy in his sea of consciousness slowly gathering. It was like a pile of liquid metal that was constantly being molded and changed its shape. After 5 life and death junctures, this enormous mental power had molded it into a blurry human silhouette. Xiao Chen felt that as long as he cleared the remaining 2 layers of life and death and cultivated the life and death art to the 7th layer, he would experience a qualitative leap, a change that he could not predict. However, if he failed, his mind would crumble. The consequences would range from becoming an idiot to brain death. The danger was great. However, for the sake of the belief in his heart, he had to persevere. Xiao Chen clenched his teeth. He endured the immense pressure and the pain of switching between life and death. Then he resolutely chose to continue cultivating the life and death art to the 6th layer. One day, there were only 2 days left before the human-demon paradise closed. Xiao Chen was still trying to break through to the 6th layer of the life and death art. Another day passed. Xiao Chen successfully broke through to the 6th layer of the life and death art, and made preparations for the 7th layer. However, there was only 1 day left. If Xiao Chen failed to break through, then the instant he was sent out of the human-demon paradise, he would suffer the combined attacks of the 8 half-step Emperor Wus. Not only would he suffer severe injuries, but the backlash from the life and death art being interrupted would also be even more severe. However, Xiao Chen used 2 days to break through to the 6th layer. No matter how one looked at it, 1 day would not be enough to break through to the 7th layer. Heavy anxiety flashed in Ao Jiao's eyes. After she used some peak medicinal pills from the Thunder King's secret treasures, she managed to stabilize Dugu Ao's injuries. Dugu Ao's life force stopped flowing away. However, he remained unconscious, resisting the healing from the demonic race bloodline. His situation was still not optimistic. Ao Jiao and Mu Xian were both somewhat anxious. They could not think of any good ideas. Outside the stele, the sun was setting in the west, and the sky was getting darker. The 8 half-step emperor was sitting around it all had a cold smile on their faces. When the sun rose again, Xiao Chen and the others would be forcibly teleported out. It would also be the time for them to make their move. This time they would not give Xiao Chen any chance. It was impossible for a descendant of the Qing emperor to become an emperor. A large number of demonic hybrids were gathered around the stone stele, and none of them seemed to have any intention of leaving. Everyone knew that the white-robed bladesman would be sent out at daybreak. Although Xiao Chen believed in his heart that the white-robed bladesman was already a dead man, he still wanted to take one last look. He wanted to take a look at this white-robed bladesman who shocked hundreds of people with one shout. Even if such a person died, he would have a different kind of elegance. It would be best if we can drag a few half-step Emperor Wu down with us. This group of bastards is too overboard. Someone could no longer suppress the rage in his heart. As he looked at the 8 half-step Emperor Wu, he cursed in a soft voice. Damn. Be quieter. Don't let this group of people hear you. Didn't you hear from those seniors that these foreign half-step Emperor Wu all have primes backing them? We cannot afford to offend them. With primes backing them, they can casually kill us. Demon mixed blood? What can we do? After the Blood Sword Sovereign, our demon mixed blood did not have another prime. We are only alive because of the agreement between the 5 races and the Blood Sword Sovereign. The person who cursed first sighed silently. How could he not understand such a principle? However, he still felt dissatisfied in his heart. Originally, Duguao possessed a perfect demon bloodline, and could have reached the same height as the Blood Sword Sovereign. Unfortunately, it is hard to say whether he is dead or alive now. That might not be the case. Perhaps Duguao is not dead yet. Everything will be clear in the morning. So what if he is not dead? When the morning sun rises, the human-demon paradise will close. He and that white-robed bladesman, who were sent out, will not be able to escape death. Low sighs and soft discussions filled this group of demon mixed-blood cultivators' rage and helplessness. As they looked at the 8 half-step Emperor Wu, they all had hostile gazes. However, there was nothing they could do. What could they do? No matter what they did, they would not be a match for a prime. No matter what, they could not change anything. Perhaps they really had to place their hopes on that white-robed bladesman. Let's see if he could drag a few people down with him before he died. That way, they would be able to vent some of the hatred in their hearts. This night was incredibly long. None of the demon mixed-blood cultivators present had ever experienced such an unbearable night. They probably all held some anticipation in their hearts as they waited. Perhaps that white-robed bladesman might be able to create another miracle. The darkness in the overcast sky slowly faded, and dawn approached. In the east, a ball of flame was hidden in the dark clouds, trying to break free from the last shackles and illuminate every inch of the land. Some people said that every sunrise symbolized new life and hope. The rising sun was always the most magnificent and enchanting scenery in the world. However, why did the rising sun that was about to appear today feel like it was announcing the arrival of death? It was strangling everyone's hope. The night was long, and there would always be the moment when the sun rose, whether you were willing or not. The night would eventually pass. The tens of thousands of demon mixed-blood cultivators on the desert islands all focused their gazes on the east, counting in their hearts. The 8 half-step Emperor Wus opened their eyes at the right time, staring at the top of the stone tablet. Once the sun rose, they would launch a thunderous attack. Life or death, the answer would be revealed soon. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Before he could count to 10, the sun, which had been waiting for a long time in the far east, leaped out impatiently. It announced the existence of the blazing sun to the world, sweeping away all the darkness. That sun was extremely beautiful. One would never tire of looking at it, intoxicated and addicted to it. It's coming. Someone sighed silently. Everyone knew what the appearance of the rising sun signified. It meant that the genius with the perfect demon bloodline, which only appeared once every 10,000 years in the human demon sea, would come to an end. It meant that the boundlessly elegant white-robed bladesman would be buried here. A single sunrise had not only taken away all the darkness in this world, but it had also taken away 2 peerless geniuses with shocking talents. A strong wind blew, and sand blew everywhere. The 8 half-step Emperor Wus stood up at the same time. The accumulated energy was too vast, causing the world to change. Winds blew, and clouds churned. As the wind howled, sand and dust spread out, forming countless storms. The aura was so vast that everyone found it hard to breathe. Who would dare to say that they could survive such a situation? Whoosh! The moment the rising sun appeared, Xiao Chun, Duguao, and the others, who were still in the human-demon paradise, were immediately forcefully sent out. They saw 6 rings of light, scarlet, orange, red, green, azure, and blue behind Xiao Chun. Each ring of light represented a breakthrough in life and death. Under the illumination of the multicolored light, the 6 rings of light looked very beautiful. This was the most beautiful scene one could see after breaking through life and death. With one glance, one would be dazzled, deeply immersed in this dreamy scene. However, the 2 sides of Xiao Chun were not so dreamy. On one side was a hellish scene. Darkness filled the sky, and all sorts of vengeful spirits and evil spirits roamed about. It was a horrifying scene of hell. With one look, one would be startled and feel a chill down one's spine. On the other side was a scene brimming with life. Hundreds of flowers bloomed, and the 4 seasons cycled endlessly. It was like heaven but also like a vanished immortal realm, inspiring fascination. Amid this vast mysterious phenomenon of life and death, Xiaochen sat cross-legged at the top of the stone stele with his eyes closed. The 6 rings of light behind him were each larger than the one before. As the multicolored light illuminated him, he looked like a bodhisattva comprehending the Tao, wholly dignified and solemn. The appearance of such a vast and magnificent mysterious phenomenon surprised everyone. No one expected Xiaochen to appear in such a manner after 10 days. Even the 8 half-step Emperor Wu did not make a move immediately, appearing distracted for a moment. When they reacted, their expressions changed dramatically. They knew that Xiaochen had used up the flower of life, and was in the midst of a nervous breakthrough. If they still did not make a move, Xiaochen might really break through. Then it would be hard to say what would happen. Attack! Don't let this brat succeed. Otherwise, we will all be finished. The half-step Emperor Wu of the deity race roared ferociously, and took the lead to attack. The other 7 half-step Emperor Wu quickly followed. They instantly executed their powerful killing moves after storing up power, sending them smashing at Xiaochen. Without exception, the 8 killing moves were all inferior-grade profound martial techniques. Furthermore, they were all inferior-grade profound martial techniques cultivated to great perfection. They were far from what a regular blue-robed emperor, or half-step emperor, Wu could compare to. Oh no! The white-robed bladesman is going to die. Seeing so many inferior-grade profound martial techniques, several people could not help exclaiming. Even someone like the old black iron monster would have to retreat when facing such an attack, not daring to clash head-on. Furthermore, the great perfection blue-robed emperor was still in the midst of a nervous breakthrough. If he clashed head-on with this move, he would definitely die. There would not be a second result. Mu Xian hugged Dugu Ao, feeling flustered and at a loss. She did not know what to do. Sweat appeared on Ao Jiao's pretty face, and her hands trembled slightly. Her nervous expression was clear for all to see. However, the determination in her eyes did not waver at all. At this moment, there was only one thought in her mind. I absolutely cannot let Xiaochen fall here. I absolutely cannot. Just as the 8 profound martial techniques were about to arrive, Ao Jiao stepped forward bravely. She waved her right hand, and the lunar shadow saber beside Xiaochen appeared in her palm. Xiaochen swung his saber ferociously, and a purple divine lightning tore through the sky. This was the divine lightning that appeared at the king conferral ceremony. The divine lightning contained the Tao and divine might left by the Thunder King, Sang Mu. This saber strike drove the divine lightning left by the Thunder King, allowing Ao Jiao to use her petite body to block the combined strike of 8 half-step Emperor Wu. Chapter 12:21. However, it was still insufficient to block 8 half-step Emperor Wu at the same time. Xiaochen had already used the divine lightning once. This time, its might was significantly reduced. The divine lightning lasted for only a moment before Ao Jiao vomited a mouthful of blood and went flying back. Fortunately, the saber light accompanied by the divine lightning weakened most of the might of the profound martial technique. It was no longer as exaggerated as it was at the start. Ao Jiao, who was flying back, clenched her teeth and charged forward again. Her figure flickered endlessly in the air, blocking all the remaining attacks with her saber. If the attacks were too fast and could not be broken, she used her body to block them. In mere moments, she was covered in wounds, a sorry sight to behold. However, in the end, she still managed to help Xiaochen block the first wave of killing moves. Damn it! When the 8 half-step Emperor Wu saw the situation, they cursed and immediately formed a second wave of attacks. This time, they intended to eliminate both Ao Jiao and Xiaochen. However, a clump of light that was even more dazzling than the sun suddenly burned in the sky. It was so piercing that no one dared to look directly at it. A plume feather tore through the air from the clump of light, flying down ferociously. It was Little Yellow Feather. At this crucial moment, it used its remaining 2 plume feather. The group of half-step Emperor Wu had been beaten up miserably by this plume feather earlier. When they saw it again, how could they dare to show any temper? They were startled and immediately protected their bodies, quickly dodging. The same move was not very effective against this group of experienced half-step Emperor Wu. It did not manage to injure them. The plume feather exploded on the ground, and a 300-meter-wide golden light soared into the air. It burned a horrifying black hole in the ground, looking extremely horrifying. Kill this beast. When the masked half-step Emperor Wu of the three holy masters saw Little Yellowfeather, a murderous intent flared in their eyes. Little Yellowfeather's golden body spread its wings proudly in the air. Facing the 8 half-step Emperor Wu, it had no fear at all. It soared into the air and took the initiative to attack. Ao Jiao stayed by Xiao Chen's side, her eyes slightly wet. In her eyes, the blonde had always been like a child. Who would have thought that he would have to bear such great pressure at such a crucial moment? Alone, he was able to stall 8 half-step Emperor Wu. Miserable cries resounded continuously as Little Yellowfeather's golden feathers fell off continuously. Facing the encirclement of 8 half-step martial emperors, Little Yellowfeather was not a match at all. In Ao Jiao's ears, the painful wails sounded like the cries of a baby, which made her heart wrench. But she couldn't leave. At this time, Xiao Chen's breakthrough had reached a critical moment. She had to conserve her last bit of strength and stay by Xiao Chen's side to prevent anyone from interrupting Xiao Chen. Bang! Yellowfeather was flipped over, its feathers continuously falling off. The golden feathers were stained with fresh blood, falling off one by one. It was like fresh blood was burning, falling onto the vast desert, looking incomparably miserable. Damn it, this little bastard's flame is really painful. A human half-step Emperor Wu, whose hair and arms were burnt by the flame, cursed loudly. Obviously, the sacred flame of the sun made him feel extreme pain. Ao Jiao couldn't bear it anymore. She stepped forward and caught Yellowfeather, whose divine light had dimmed and shrunk by many times, into her embrace. Yellowfeather's voice was hoarse. At this moment, it didn't look like a divine beast at all. It was like a featherless sparrow, looking extremely miserable. After spending half a day, the 2 obstacles were finally dealt with. 8 half-step Emperor Wus arrived in the air, looking coldly at Xiao Chen, who had 6 halos on his back and was manifesting the life and death phenomenon on the stone tablet. Step by step, they closed in. All of them were expressionless, with a cold murderous intent, firmly locking onto Xiao Chen. They didn't want to give Xiao Chen any chance at all, directly killing him at the last moment of his breakthrough. However, at this moment, on both sides of Xiao Chen, the extreme life and death phenomenon suddenly merged, instantly entering into Xiao Chen's body. Red, orange, red, green, cyan, blue, and purple, the most crucial 7th halo appeared behind Xiao Chen in one fell swoop. Xiao Chen opened his eyes. A dazzling golden light gushed out. He who was sitting cross-legged suddenly stood up. In an instant, the light shone brightly, outshining the morning glow. In the void, the 8 half-step Emperor Wus were all startled by this gaze. The moment the light shone, they couldn't help but take a few steps back. At this moment, Xiao Chen actually gave them a pressure that only an Emperor Wu could. The golden light in Xiao Chen's eyes slowly faded. With a thought, the 7 halos behind him returned to his body. In that instant, the mental energy in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness, which had already been molded into a humanoid shape, seemed to come to life. The consummation blue-robed emperor condensed his mental energy and merged it with the heavenly seal, forming the vague form of the heart of an emperor. Xiao Chen finally understood why the consummation blue-robed emperor could only form the vague form of the heart of an emperor, and not the true heart of an emperor. This was because the consummation blue-robed emperor had not experienced the great tribulation of wind and fire. The mental energy that he condensed did not have a soul or a spirit. It was an incomplete fusion. However, the life and death art used the flower of life and the death fruit to make a cultivator go through 7 life and death trials, each more dangerous than the last. In the end, the layers of halos that were refined were the soul and the spirit. When the soul and the mental energy gathered at the same time, they would form a primordial spirit, which was the small golden figure that seemed to come to life in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness. Like water flowing into a canal, the golden primordial spirit slowly sank into the dantian. As it sank, Xiao Chen felt the green spots in his blood, flesh, and cells being absorbed into the golden primordial spirit. These green spots represented all sorts of primal life force. Even if one's arm was severed, as long as these green spots remained, it might not be difficult to regrow a severed limb. Xiaochen understood why Emperor Wu was so hard to kill. The appearance of the heart of an emperor would transform the physical body once again, absorbing every cell in the body into the heart of an emperor like a backup. Kasie. A melodious sound came from Xiaochen's body. The golden primordial spirit and the dragon-shaped heavenly seal completely merged. In that instant, the various lights that Xiaochen had withdrawn in his body released uncontrollably. A strong might swept out in all directions. The heart of an emperor had successfully condensed. It was like Xiaochen had obtained a new life. First, the bottleneck that had plagued Xiaochen for a long time was instantly broken. He silently entered the consummation blue-robed emperor realm. Xiaochen's physical body underwent a complete transformation. His physical body, which had already reached the peak of the sage body, improved further. Xiaochen's originally delicate face changed drastically, giving off an explosive pressure. His aura was terrifyingly strong. However, there was no precedent for such a physical body. Although it was called the Emperor Wu's golden body, it lacked maturity. Furthermore, Xiaochen had not reconstructed his body. However, it was much stronger than a regular sage body. Furthermore, after condensing the heart of an emperor, the recovery ability of the body surpassed that of a regular Emperor Wu's golden body. It would not be too much to call it a half-step golden body. It was a unique existence that existed in Xiaochen's body. The heart of an emperor. The 8 half-step Emperor Wus all exclaimed when they saw the white-robed Xiaochen standing proudly on the stone stele, looking as elegant as Emperor Wu's. It was indeed the heart of an emperor. At their level, they were no longer unfamiliar with Emperor Wu. They had even interacted with primes before. They were no strangers to Emperor Wu's circle. When they saw Xiaochen's current state, they immediately figured out the crux of the matter. Only after clearing the great tribulation of wind and fire, and becoming Emperor Wu could one condense the heart of an emperor. Unexpectedly, it appeared on Xiaochen. The surrounding mixed-blood cultivators were all shocked speechless. 50,000 years ago, the Blood Sword Sovereign condensed the heart of an emperor before advancing to martial emperor. Several people thought that it was just a legend, and that it could not possibly appear in the real world. But today, the white-clothed young man standing on top of the towering stone tablet had silently proved that it was not a legend, but a reality. The aura of a single person was enough to suppress all the people present. Before Xiaochen could carefully experience the many mysteries of the heart of an emperor, he looked around and fixed his gaze on the 8 half-step Emperor Wus in front. Then he looked at the unconscious Ao Jiao, who was covered in wounds, and hugging little Yellow Feather, who was still unconscious. These people were all injured because of him. Right now, Dugu Ao's survival was even more uncertain. The scene of Dugu Ao blocking the 12 half-step Emperor Wus for Xiaochen was still vivid in his mind. He would never forget it. For the sake of protecting Xiaochen, Little Yellow Feather and Ao Jiao had fought until their bodies were covered in wounds. Xiaochen only wanted to walk his own Dao. However, these people persistently pressured him, repeatedly trying to kill him, touching on his bottom line. Xiaochen, it was indeed not easy for you to reach this step. You should leave. We will not make things difficult for you. The deity race half-step Emperor Wu's voice pleaded for peace under Xiaochen's strong pressure. The other party had already refined the flower of life. There was no longer any meaning in fighting with them. The most important thing was that Xiaochen had condensed the heart of an emperor and advanced to consummation blue-robed emperor. His strength had increased greatly, shaking these people's confidence in victory. That's right. You should leave. We will not make things difficult for you. The 8 half-step Emperor Wus were all experienced people. They quickly understood the principle, and all spoke up to let Xiaochen leave, indicating that they would not make things difficult for him. The original goal was to prevent Xiaochen from obtaining the flower of life, to prevent him from advancing to consummation blue-robed emperor. It was not to kill Xiaochen. However, not only did Xiaochen successfully refine the flower of life and advance to consummation blue-robed emperor, but he also surpassed their expectations and condensed the heart of an emperor. Since they had already messed up their mission, there was no point in continuing. They might as well let Xiaochen leave. When Xiaochen heard these people talking at the same time, he could not help but laugh out loud. What was shameless? This group of people was the perfect definition of this word. What are you laughing at? Seeing that Xiao Chen did not reply and started laughing instead, the 8 half-step Emperor Wu shouted angrily. Xiao Chen stopped laughing and retorted coldly. Why can't I laugh? There are funnier things in the world than this. You beat up my friend until he died, humiliated me time and time again, and prevented me from obtaining the flower of life for no reason at all. You forced me to make 7 life and death passes in 10 days. After I succeeded, you arrogantly said to let me go and not make things difficult for me. Are there people as shameless as you? Chapter 12:22. When the 8 half-step Emperor Wu heard this, they all became enraged. What do you want? Don't force us into a corner. Don't be so shameless when we give you face. Don't think that after advancing to consummation blue-robed Emperor, you are unrivaled. The 8 of us working together is more than enough to kill you. Quickly scram. Don't blame us for changing our minds. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand, and the lunar shadow saber in Ao Jiao's hand flew into his. At the same time, Ao Jiao also turned into a beam of light and entered the lunar shadow saber. This increased the might of the lunar shadow saber significantly. The saber gave off a purple glow. When the light shone into the sky, it immediately triggered a chain of lightning. Xiao Chen stood on the stone steel and pointed with his saber. He shouted coldly, "Kneel now and apologize to my friends. Then I will leave your corpses intact. Otherwise, don't blame me for being too ruthless." The moment he said that, everyone was shocked. This Xiao Chen was too tyrannical. To think that he wanted the 8 half-step Emperor Wu to kneel and apologize to Duguao. Furthermore, after they apologized, he would leave their corpses intact and not let them off. Where did he get his confidence from? How could he be so arrogant? What a joke. You want us to kneel? Who do you think you are? Call the Prime Thunder King over. You are so young, and yet you are already so arrogant. Today we will teach you a lesson. The 8 half-step Emperor Wu were all enraged. They could not be bothered to make any more concessions. After exchanging voice projections, they decided to attack together and teach Xiao Chen a lesson. The 8 half-step Emperor Wu could tell that Xiao Chen was now extraordinary. After they decided to attack, they did not hold back at all. They planned to work together and attack, not giving Xiao Chen any chance to drag things out. They would severely injure him, and then humiliate him. Xiao Chen smiled coldly to himself. His martial techniques, cultivation techniques, will, and physical body were all stronger than the 8. Why was he suppressed earlier? It was because the difference in cultivation was too great. He could not use brute force to break through. Even if he used his full power, he could not gain any advantage. But now his strength had undergone a qualitative transformation. His cultivation base had advanced by leaps and bounds, and he had successfully broken through from the great circle of the blue-robed emperor. He had even condensed the heart of an emperor. Adding on his previous advantages, defeating these 8 half-step Emperor Wu was no longer difficult. However, this group of people did not know that and wanted to kill him in one strike. This was exactly what he wanted. If he killed them one by one, it was inevitable that someone would escape. These people deserved to die. If even one of them escaped, he would blame himself for the rest of his life. As long as this hatred was not appeased, the killing would not stop. Boundless mixed element palm. Wrath of God. Heaven soul slash. The 8 half-step Emperor Wu attacked at the same time, each of them executing a medial-grade profound martial technique. However, it looked like they were barely able to execute these medial-grade profound martial techniques. However, Xiao Chen had barely reached the basic level, able to release it completely. He was still far from being able to control it as he pleased, reaching small accomplishment. However, this was very normal. Firstly, medial-grade profound martial techniques were rare. Secondly, they had high requirements on comprehension ability and vision. Without reaching the level of Emperor Wu, it would be very difficult to reach small accomplishment. It was already very rare for these half-step Emperor Wu to be able to completely execute a medial-grade profound martial technique. This is a medial-grade profound martial technique. How strong! No wonder these half-step Emperor Wu could still be confident of killing them in one strike. even after that woman and the Golden Crow exhausted most of their law energy. So that is the case. Although they barely reached the basic level, a medial-grade profound martial technique is still a medial-grade profound martial technique. With 8 medial-grade profound martial techniques working together, it would be hard for them not to be strong. Seeing these half-step Emperor Wu execute extremely precious and rare medial-grade profound martial techniques, the group of demon mixed bloods all started to worry for Xiao Chen. With regards to Xiao Chen and these foreign Emperor Wu, all the demon mixed bloods present were definitely on Xiao Chen's side. Seeing that Xiao Chen had already created a miracle by condensing the heart of an emperor, yet he immediately ran into such danger, they all felt worried for him. On the stone steel, Xiao Chen's white robes fluttered. Behind him, winds blew, clouds churned, and lightning crackled. Before he even made a move, just his aura alone made the sky change color. The morning sun was drowned out, not a single ray of light visible. Xiao Chen coldly watched the 8 half-step Emperor Wu execute medial-grade profound martial techniques together. His lips curled up in a mocking smile. If these 8 people executed inferior-grade profound martial techniques and brought out the might of great perfection, the pressure on Xiao Chen would be even greater. It would be much more troublesome to deal with. The medial-grade profound martial technique, before Xiao Chen was only at the basic level. He could barely execute it, and it was full of openings. When facing a regular expert, he would definitely be able to obtain victory through sheer numbers, relying on the superior grade of his martial technique to suppress his opponent. However, when facing Xiao Chen, a bladesman who could use medial-grade profound martial techniques as he pleased and who had reached small perfection, it was like showing off before an expert, asking for trouble. Amid the strong wind and lightning, Xiao Chen held up the lunar shadow saber and leaped down from the towering stone steel in the sky. Then he chopped down with all his might. 1,000 years of hegemony, immortal dynasty. As Xiao Chen descended with the tyranny of a peak kingship, he chopped out an immortal dynasty with his saber. As Xiao Chen quickly descended amid the lightning, many majestic cities appeared behind him. At first, there was only one city. Soon, it turned into many majestic and boundless cities. Finally, the imperial city appeared. Figures leaped out of every city and landed on the roofs. Then they knelt before Xiao Chen and shouted, "Long live!" What did long live mean? Immortal for 10,000 years. Every year is king, that means long live. After Xiao Chen condensed the heart of an emperor, the tyranny of a kingship on his body became even stronger, containing the might of an emperor. This increased the might of this medial-grade profound martial technique that was already at small perfection. Furthermore, as Xiao Chen swooped down from above, he held the advantage of the terrain. With all these advantages, the entry-level medial-grade profound martial techniques of the 8 half-step Emperor Wu only lasted for a moment before crumbling under this 1,000-year hegemony establishment. Xiao Chen's tyranny of a kingship was simply unrivaled. As he leaped down, he sent out the mysterious phenomenon of a vast dynasty. Amidst the strong winds, dark clouds, and lightning, this scene caused all the demon hybrids present to be dumbfounded. They were all astonished by what they saw. Go! The 8 half-step Emperor Wu vomited a mouthful of blood. Horror appeared in their eyes. They had not expected Xiao Chen's comprehension ability to be so high. Unexpectedly, he managed to comprehend a medial-grade profound martial technique to small perfection. Furthermore, he possessed such a strong tyranny of kingship. This was simply incredible. If Xiao Chen had known earlier, he would not have been defeated in such a sorry state if he had used an inferior-grade profound martial technique to consummation. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. The 8 half-step Emperor Wu, who had already exhausted a lot of their law energy at the hands of Ao Jiao and Little Yellow Feather, were severely injured. They no longer had any combat prowess. They all executed their various means, trying to flee far away. It's too late to leave now. As long as this hatred remained, the killing would not stop. Xiao Chen's murderous intent had already been extinguished. Even if he caused a great disaster, these 8 people had to die. After Xiao Chen landed, he pushed off the ground and soared into the air. He brandished his saber, and every time he spun around, a mysterious phenomenon would come out of his body. There was a bright moon like fire, an undefeated blazing sun, peach blossoms, or a roaring dragon image. Only one saber technique, instant of glory. After spinning around 9 times, Xiaochen immediately executed the medial-grade profound martial technique, instant of glory. Space froze, and a glorious painting appeared in front. The 8 fleeing half-step Emperor Wu were all included in the painting. In this epic painting, the expressions of the 8 half-step Emperor Wu froze, not moving at all. Xiaochen sheathed his saber. Then he faced his right hand forward and gently opened it. The frozen painting shattered like a mirror. Space immediately shattered. The 8 half-step Emperor Wu, who were already severely injured in the first place, were knocked into the air. Cracks appeared on their bodies, looking incredibly horrifying. Xiaochen's expression was terrifyingly sinister. The 8 blue-robed emperors in the air still had their last breaths. Their physical bodies were still tenaciously recovering. If they were left alone, given one day, they would recover from their injuries. After resting for half a year, they would be able to return to their peak. Xiaochen, don't think that you can kill us just because you are a descendant of the Qing Emperor. We have primes standing behind us. If you kill us, you will cause a great disaster. Death shrouded their hearts. The 8 half-step Emperor Wu in the air were in despair as they spoke futilely. How laughable. If those primes were really courageous, why didn't they personally make a move? In the end, you are just a bunch of cannon fodder. Xiaochen roared somewhat angrily. Killing intent filled his mind, making him look exceptionally terrifying. Now that you know fear, why did you do it earlier? When the 2 Ghost Race Emperor Wu sneak attacked Xiaochen, they did not think that such a day would come. I will give this punch to you first. Xiaochen shouted, and a lightning dragon shot out from under his feet. His figure flickered as he punched twice. Each punch contained 20 dragon force, 100 million kilograms of force. When they struck the bodies of the Ghost Race experts, cracks appeared on them. Amid the hazy bloody mist, the 2 half-step Emperor Wu immediately died without a complete corpse, their bodies exploding. Whoosh! Xiaochen arrived before the 2 deity race half-step Emperor Wu and said expressionlessly, "With this punch, I will send you on your way on behalf of Dugu Ao. When you kept calling him bastard, you did not understand that there are some people who are much nobler than you. Don't kill me. Emperor Forsaken will not forgive you." In the face of death, the 2 originally arrogant deity race experts were overwhelmed by fear. They begged for mercy in soft voices. Xiaochen's expression remained cold, completely ignoring them. He threw another 2 punches, and killed the 2 half-step Emperor Wu. His methods were tyrannical and decisive. Xiaochen was decisive in killing, not showing any mercy. The remaining 4 half-step Emperor Wu were already frightened out of their wits. They dragged their heavily injured bodies and ran frantically in the desert, leaving behind a trail of blood. However, no matter how they ran, how could they be faster than Xiaochen, who executed Thunder Dragon steps? Everything was futile. I will return this punch to you on behalf of Ao Jiao. Bang! Dragon roars rang out endlessly as the fist shook the surroundings. Every punch ended the life of a half-step Emperor Wu. Like a grim reaper harvesting lives, Xiaochen used the cruelest method. As he said, if they did not kneel down and apologize, they would die without a complete corpse. Chapter 1223. I will return this punch to you on behalf of Little Yellowfeather. Did you hear that baby-like cry? It is really just a child. Unable to dispel his hatred, Xiaochen punched 3 more times. Of the 8 half-step Emperor Wus, only 1 remained. Plop! The last half-step Emperor Wu was completely frightened out of his wits. He immediately knelt and begged, "Blue Dragon King, on account that we are both humans, please spare my life. Some paths are chosen by oneself. From the moment you took out your butcher's knife, you should have been prepared to be slaughtered by others in the future. Just like me now, I have a cold and brave heart. As we are both humans, I will leave your corpse intact." Facing the half-step Emperor Wu kneeling before him, Xiaochen remained unmoved. He gently tapped the half-step Emperor Wu's forehead with his finger. A strand of saber chi destroyed the half-step Emperor Wu's sea of consciousness before piercing through. When the half-step Emperor Wu fell, his life force severed. However, he was the only half-step Emperor Wu to have an intact corpse. In the sky, all sorts of mysterious phenomena caused by Xiaochen condensing the heart of an emperor vanished like smoke the moment this half-step Emperor Wu fell. The morning glow appeared once again. The resplendent sunlight shone on the bloodstained body of Xiaochen. This made him, who was as cold as a grim reaper, have a divine aura to him. Golden light shone resplendently, glistening brilliantly. The 8 half-step Emperor Wus were all dead. However, the hatred in Xiaochen's heart did not dissipate. He was well aware that these were just pawns. In fact, they were not even pawns. They were just discarded pieces. They were just pawns abandoned by the Prime Emperor Wu. From the moment they were sent out, the Prime Emperors and the 3 Holy Masters hiding behind the scenes did not care about these people's lives. Xiaochen swore to himself that one day, he would make all these people hiding behind the scenes pay the price they deserved. When the surrounding demon mixed-blood cultivators saw the white-robed Xiaochen, their hearts trembled for a long time. The old black iron monster, who could kill martial emperors, felt fear in his heart as he looked at Xiaochen. Although these 8 half-step Emperor Wu had exhausted too much law energy and underestimated Xiaochen's strength, Xiaochen could kill 8 half-step Emperor Wu in one go. However, Xiaochen could kill 8 half-step martial emperors in one go. No matter how one looked at it, the current Xiaochen could be called one of the strongest existences under martial emperor. Even of the black iron old monster was not fully confident of defeating Xiaochen. The black iron old monster, more than the black iron old Xiao of the black iron old monster, had not of Xiaochen had condensed the black iron old black. Of black Chen's might of Chen of was of the emperor of his. After thinking for a while, the black iron old monster said with certainty, "It is not a possibility but a certainty." Xiaochen recovered his wits and moved quickly to Mu Xian's side. When he saw the unconscious Dugu Ao in her embrace, he asked, "How is he? Is he not awake yet?" Mu Xian squeezed out a smile and replied, "He's fine. Ao Jiao fed him a sage pill. Right now the loss of life force has stopped. However, if he does not wake up, there is nothing we can do." Xiaochen's heart sank. He understood what she meant. Dugu Ao was still resisting the other half of the bloodline in his body. If the medicinal energy of the medicinal pill wore off, the situation would still be hard to predict. Dugu Ao's life and death would depend on a single thought. However, given Dugu Ao's stubbornness, without any external interference, the outcome would be as expected. What awaited him would still be death. What should I do? Although Xiaochen had killed the 12 half-step Emperor Wu who caused all this, Dugu Ao still had not woken up. Even though Xiaochen had condensed a heart of an emperor and advanced to consummation blue-robed emperor, his mood did not improve at all. The reason was none other than Dugu Ao helping him too much. If Dugu Ao died, Xiaochen would feel guilty for life. In the end, Xiaochen's horizons were limited. He could not think of any good ideas, so he could only look to Ao Jiao. "Ao Jiao, do you have any ideas?" Ao Jiao thought for a while and shook her head. "I do not have any good ideas either. However, there are still many sage-grade medicinal pills in the Thunder King's inheritance. If you are willing to part with them, you can guarantee that he will not have any problems for 2 years." Naturally, Xiaochen was willing to part with the medicinal pills. However, what about after 2 years? Whoosh! Just at this moment, a strong aura suddenly encased the entire desert island. A huge figure appeared in the sky, covering the entire island. When this figure looked around, everyone on the island felt like they were being watched, their hair standing on end. Dugu Kuang. It's Dugu Ao's father. He is here. What a coincidence. It looks like he has been here all along. However, it is not convenient for him to make a move on those half-step Emperor Wu. That is no wonder. No one understands better than these Emperor Wus how horrifying a prime's strength is. Furthermore, these half-step Emperor Wus gave Dugu Ao a chance to leave earlier. Dugu Kuang has no reason to make a move. However, I heard that Dugu Kuang has 10 odd sons. He has never been fond of Dugu Ao. This might have something to do with it. As the crowd discussed, Xiaochen immediately learned the identity of the person who arrived. It was the demon-human martial emperor, Dugu Kuang, Dugu Ao's father. "Many thanks for making a move. You did a good job. The Dugu clan owes you a favor. A deep voice resounded in the sky. The entire space shook intensely. A formless might pressed down on everyone on the island, making their hearts tremble. The huge figure stretched out its hand, and an irresistible force pulled Dugu Ao out of Mu Xian's embrace. Just as Dugu Kuang was about to leave, the figure looked at the stunned Mu Xian and said, "Not bad. You can be the daughter-in-law of my Dugu clan. Let's go together." The figure stretched out his hand and brought Mu Xian over as well. Dark clouds churned. Dugu Kuang did not discuss anything further. He only said that he owed Xiaochen a favor before leaving with the two of them. After Dugu Kuang left, the suppressive atmosphere on the desert island faded from everyone's hearts. Dugu Ao being taken away by his father was probably the best outcome. The other party should have a way to wake Dugu Ao up. Xiaochen thought, is this the strength of a martial emperor? Even a martial emperor as strong as Dugu Kuang is afraid of a prime. This is truly despairing. The people on the island slowly scattered. After this battle, the name of the Blue Dragon King, the white-robed bladesman, would definitely resound throughout the entire human demon sea. Ao Jiao brought little yellow feather into the immortal spirit ring to recuperate. Xiaochen leaned on the stone steel alone, looking at the endless desert devoid of people. He had a complicated expression, thinking about something. The lunar shadow saber stabbed into the ground at the side. Blood still flowed slowly on it. Under the sunlight, it exuded a sinister sense of beauty, lonely and proud. Logically speaking, Xiaochen had already achieved his goal before leaving Heavenly Star Island. Not only had he advanced to consummation blue-robed emperor ahead of time, but he had also condensed the heart of an emperor that only Emperor Wu had. He only needed to wait 3 years to clear his great tribulation of wind and fire before he could ascend to martial emperor. However, would things really go that smoothly? Now, Xiaochen only wanted to take a flower of life, and he already provoked the 3 primes and the 3 holy masters. If Xiaochen really wanted to clear his great tribulation of wind and fire, he did not know what methods the other party would use. Qing Emperor. Qing Emperor. What kind of existence was he exactly? How tyrannical was he back then? Even after dying for 10,000 years, he still made people so wary of him. This made Xiaochen's path to martial emperor so difficult. Xiaochen shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He drew the lunar shadow saber and took out a piece of cloth to wipe off the blood on it. When the saber became clear and bright again, when the saber turned cold and bright again, a figure suddenly appeared before Xiaochen. This person carried a sword on his back, and he always had a calm expression on his face. It was just like when Xiaochen first saw him. Even after so many years, nothing had changed. Chu Chaoyan, this opponent destined to be entangled with Xiaochen for life, appeared before Xiaochen after everyone left. Huangdang. Xiaochen sheathed the lunar shadow saber. Then he held the saber and walked over to Chu Chaoyan, step by step. Why did you help me? The other party's mysterious appearance had helped Xiaochen deal a fatal blow back then. Even now, Xiaochen could not figure it out. In Xiaochen's memories, he did not know where to place Chu Chaoyan. It was definitely impossible to call Chu Chaoyan a friend, but it was also impossible to call him an enemy. If Xiaochen really had to describe this person who was both friend and foe, he could only use the word opponent. Chu Chaoyan smiled faintly and said, "It's nothing. Many years ago, I already said that our positions are different. However, our ultimate goal is the same. Right now, the story is far from over. How can I let you die? Even if I did not make a move, you would not have died." Xiaochen did not want to continue playing riddles with Chu Chaoyan. He had to resolve all the mysteries today. Now that Xiaochen had advanced to consummation blue-robed emperor and condensed a heart of an emperor, he was confident that he was stronger than Chu Chaoyan. If Chu Chaoyan was not willing to say more, then Xiaochen could only use force. Tell me your true goal. Since the first time you attacked me in the Sky Dome realm until now, what exactly have you been planning for the past 10-odd years? Xiaochen asked sullenly as he stepped forward with a sharp gaze. His strong aura pressed down on the other party. Xiaochen did not want to kill or injure the other party. He only wanted to know the other party's true goal. He did not want to remain in the dark. Xiaochen needed to put an end to all the past and future matters today. Chu Chaoyan was not surprised at Xiao Chen's reaction. When Xiao Chen's strong aura pressed over, Chu Chaoyan also released his own aura, pushing back Xiao Chen's pressure. This pushed back the pressure coming from Xiao Chen. The two's auras were equal. Neither could do anything to the other. Black and white lights flickered on Chu Chaoyan's body. That was the will of light and the will of darkness merging, forming a brand new will of primal chaos. However, the merging of this will of primal chaos was not perfect. Otherwise, it would have been able to suppress Xiao Chen's peak will of thunder. Chu Chaoyan showed some shock in his eyes. He had not expected that his strong will of primal chaos would not be able to suppress Xiao Chen immediately. Chu Chaoyan said, "Not bad, peak will of thunder. It looks like you will be able to form an innate thunder crystal before advancing to martial emperor. An innate thunder crystal with a heart of an emperor. I wonder what kind of storm you will stir up when you advance to martial emperor one day." While Chu Chaoyan was shocked in his heart, so was Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen had already silently circulated the might of his heart of an emperor, and added the peak will of thunder. However, he still did not gain a clear advantage in aura. What exactly did Chu Chaoyan experience in the past 10-odd years for him to improve so much? Chapter 12:24. Unfortunately, with your strength, you are still unable to force me to speak. Perhaps in your eyes, I am very mysterious. However, in my eyes, you are just as mysterious. Chu Chaoyan's words seemed to have another meaning. After a pause, he continued, "Actually, I want to know many of the things you want to know as well. It is just that we each chose different paths." Xiao Chen knew that it was no longer possible to use force to force the other party to speak. So he said, "In that case, we can have an honest talk and tell each other what we know to clear up any misunderstandings." Chu Chaoyan shook his head and said, "There are no misunderstandings between us. As you think, there will definitely be a fight between us. As for having an honest talk, I can reveal one thing. In this world, who wants you to die the most is definitely me. Who wants you to advance to martial emperor the most? No one is more eager than me." Chu Chaoyan. Inspiration flashed in Xiao Chen's mind as he thought of something. He said, "The Blue Dragon Palace, the Heavenly Flame's origin flame." Chu Chaoyan smiled and said, "So, don't die before you advance to martial emperor. Otherwise, no one will open the Blue Dragon Palace for me, and I will never be able to take away the Heavenly Flame's origin flame. So that is the case. No wonder the other party came all the way to help me block the demonic world's attack after receiving the news. However, how can I explain that the other party wants me dead the most? Is it because of the identities we inherited? The descendants of the Qing Emperor and the Tianwu Emperor have to put an end to the grudges from 10,000 years ago? Or is it because a certain immortal Dao expert once mentioned that the entire Kunlun realm is an abandoned land? Right and wrong, there is no need to think too much about it. When you stand at the peak, you will discover that our goals are the same. The one who wants me dead the most will definitely be you. However, you will understand all this only after you stand at the peak. Work hard. Don't underestimate the outstanding talents of the Kunlun realm in the astral battlefield. Don't underestimate the king-grade geniuses of the deep abyss demonic world either. Among those of the same generation, you are still far from being unrivaled." As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Chaoyan withdrew the black and white light into his body. All the light on his body disappeared as he turned around and left. When the light vanished, Xiao Chen focused his gaze. He noticed an inconspicuous symbol on Chu Chaoyan's chest. It was the Nether Church's insignia. Chu Chaoyan had joined the Nether sect. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. Was this the path that Chu Chaoyan had taken? For the sake of strength, he joined the Dark Church, which once destroyed the Tianwu dynasty. Xiao Chen wondered what he was thinking. "Xiao Chen, do you think this Chu Chaoyan is a good person or a bad person?" Ao Jiao voiced her doubts from the immortal spirit ring. Xiao Chen thought for a while before replying. How can there be pure good and bad people in this world? It is as he said. It is just that the paths he takes are different. He has his own doubts and troubles as well. In the end, he is just like most cultivators in this world. There is nothing special about him. Actually, sometimes one was just too conflicted, making some simple things seem too complicated. When one finally found out the cause and effect, one would discover that it was just like that. In this meeting with Chu Chaoyan, they did not talk much. However, it resolved a knot in Xiao Chen's heart. This freed Xiao Chen from dwelling on the other party's secrets. There would come a day when the truth would come to light. There was no need to overthink it. As for the heavenly flame's origin flame, Xiao Chen did not care too much about it. Who knew how many people in the Blue Dragon Palace were watching it? When Xiao Chen advanced to Martial Emperor and went to open it, he would not be able to predict how many Emperor Wu's experts would be there. If Chu Chaoyan was willing to appear, he would stir up this mess even more. This suited Xiao Chen's intentions, which would reduce the attention on him. The deity race Emperor Forsaken's true body descended on a desolate planet in the starry heavens. Soon, two figures descended at the same time on this unremarkable planet in the starry heavens. These two were the ghost race's Dongyue Ghost Emperor, and the corpse race's heaven-punishing corpse god. Soon another three masked people landed on the planet. Actually, the identities of these three masked people were no secret. They were the three holy lords of the human race's three holy masters. When the three of them worked together, they could hold their own against a prime. This gave them the capital to speak to the other three on equal footing, not putting them at a disadvantage. The luck of the Qing Emperor's descendants is really horrifying. The Thunder King did not even make a move, but he still managed to break this trap, the heaven-punishing corpse god said. There were too many variables. Who could have thought that an unremarkable character like Dugu Ao would suddenly erupt? Who could have thought that even the people sent by the demon monarchs would be stopped? The Dongyue Ghost Emperor's tone contained some self-mockery. Emperor Forsaken said, however, it is still fine. He condensed the heart of an emperor. I wonder what level of great tribulation of wind and fire he will trigger. It is practically impossible for him to make preparations and clear this great tribulation of wind and fire in 3 years. As long as the Thunder King does not die, anything is possible. The masked Phoenix's Passion Palace's palace master suddenly said. His words immediately caused the other supreme martial artists to sink into silence. The Thunder King was an unsurmountable hurdle in the hearts of these primes. If not for the Thunder King's existence, these primes would not have to be so fearful. With a thought, they could kill Xiao Chen. How much longer can the Thunder King last? Don't you know that the three holy masters only have one place left? Emperor Forsaken asked. At least 1 year, at most 10 years. The Thunder King will definitely die, the Phoenix's Passion Palace's palace master said. A light flashed in Emperor Forsaken's eyes. 10 years is still too long. I'll try to get the support of those three from the heavenly starry ocean. The great tribulation of wind and fire is when his luck is at its lowest. It is also the best time to make a move. I'll do my best not to give him any chances. That will be difficult. Although the Lunar Palace's palace master does not like the descendants of the Qing Emperor, she is old friends with the Thunder King. The Myriad Lawfiend Master and the Fox King are old friends. These two will definitely choose to remain neutral. The only one we can truly fight for is the Zodiac Hall's Palace Master. That is already pretty good. As long as we can fight for one person, we can break the balance between our strength and theirs. If outsiders were here, they would never imagine that the people at the peak of the Kunlun realm would gather together to discuss countermeasures for a consummation blue-robed emperor. This conversation did not last for long. After about 7 minutes, the primes left one after another. The desolate planet was silent, as if no one had ever been here before. At this moment, Xiao Chen did not know that someone had already started to plan for his great tribulation of wind and fire. Currently, Xiao Chen was on his way to Heavenly Star Island, anxiously familiarizing himself with the many wondrous uses of the heart of an emperor. No wonder people always said that after one became Emperor Wu, they would bring earth-shaking changes to cultivators. Now Xiao Chen finally knew some of the reasons in advance. Xiao Chen opened a crack in the mysterious world of Emperor Wu, broadening his horizons. Inside the Flood Dragon War Chariot, Xiao Chen sat cross-legged with his hands crossed. There was a clump of light about the size of half a finger in his dantian. It looked like a resplendent crystal gem. That was the heart of an emperor. Strands of purple energy surrounded the heart of an emperor. There was a vast number of them, like many small dragons swimming around quickly. That was Xiao Chen's vast heavenly laws. There were more than 20,000 of them. Enough to look down on all existences under Emperor Wu. With a thought from Xiao Chen, the heart of an emperor spun quickly. It was like a mysterious door of time and space opened above his head. As the heart of an emperor drew in, an incredible energy entered Xiao Chen's body from the world outside the door. Xiao Chen sank into a wondrous state. This was a kind of energy that Xiao Chen had never experienced before. It was not veritable essence energy or the power of the world driven by laws. This power was even purer and more powerful, as if it came from another world. At first, Xiao Chen did not know what this energy was. He only understood after Ao Jiao explained it to him. No one in the Kunlun realm knew the source of the mysterious energy in the world behind the door. Only Emperor Wu, who had condensed the heart of an emperor, could come into contact with this energy. This energy was called primordial energy by the Kunlun realm's Emperor Wu. According to the legends of the immortal epoch, before the world was created, the world was a clump of primordial energy. The Kunlun realm's Emperor Wu all revered the mysterious energy in the world behind the door. Although they did not know if it was primordial energy or not, they still gave it this name. As for whether it was primordial energy or not, perhaps only those powerhouses of the immortal epoch would be able to confirm it after they came back to life. The heart of an emperor greedily absorbed the primordial energy. The strands of primordial energy turned into pure white energy that entered the acupoints on Xiao Chen's head and quickly sank before pouring into the heart of an emperor. Instantly, Xiao Chen felt his entire body fill with explosive energy. He felt omnipotent, and his strength instantly increased by 10%. Now he somewhat understood why those below Emperor Wu could not come into contact with this energy. Aside from the heart of an emperor, a cultivator's dantian would not be able to endure or contain primordial energy. The instant one came into contact with it, their body would explode and they would die, playing themselves to death. After barely absorbing 10 strands of primordial energy, the mysterious door of time and space above Xiao Chen's head closed. After withdrawing from this strange state, Xiao Chen felt disappointed. That omnipotent feeling no longer existed. It was like falling from the clouds and crashing to the ground, returning to reality. However, Xiao Chen did not find this strange. Ao Jiao had said that Emperor Wu could open that door for a limited time. The amount of primordial energy that he could absorb from it was even less. Xiao Chen was already pretty good for being able to absorb 10 strands of primordial energy on his first try. Xiao Chen sank his consciousness into the interior of the heart of an emperor. He saw 10 white strands intertwining with each other, forming a huge whirlpool. Around the whirlpool was something like the starry heavens of the universe. As the whirlpool spun, all sorts of strong mysterious phenomena, thunder, lightning, storms, appeared in the void space of the heart of an emperor. As Xiao Chen carefully probed, he could clearly feel the 10 strands of primordial energy. Just one strand of primordial energy could cause damage equivalent to thousands of heavenly laws. Chapter 1225. Then, Xiao Chen withdrew his consciousness and sent his original law energy into the heart of an emperor. The 10 strands of primordial energy were like newborn babies with a lot of room for growth. Their food was the heavenly law energy. The more they fed, the more they would grow. Using heavenly laws to cultivate primordial energy was something that could only be done after advancing to martial emperor. However, Xiao Chen had already condensed a heart of an emperor and could do it in advance. This was a complete anomaly. No one could say for sure what kind of changes this anomaly would produce in the end. Xiao Chen focused all his attention on the cultivation of primordial energy. The heart of an emperor opened a door to his world. The changes it brought him were not as simple as just advancing to consummation blue-robed emperor. Time passed day by day. Half a month later, Xiao Chen opened his eyes again. A brilliant light flickered in his eyes, and his entire being seemed to glow with vigor. There was an indescribable change in him. After walking out of the war chariot, Xiao Chen wanted to look down. As he looked at the archipelago below, he muttered to himself, "Time passed really fast. It turns out that I'm already at the Dragon Grave Sea." After leaving the human demon sea, Xiaochen immediately rushed to Heavenly Star Island. After being away for almost a year, he was filled with curiosity and anticipation about what had happened to Heavenly Star Island. Furthermore, he wanted to tell Mo Chun and the others about the good news of him advancing to consummation blue-robed emperor, so that they would not worry too much. The last time Xiaochen closed his eyes, he was still in the human demon sea. When he opened them again, he was already at the Dragon Grave Sea. This made Xiaochen feel somewhat rueful. Since I'm already here, I should go down and rest. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen decided to stay in the Dragon Grave Sea for one day and rest before setting off again. After putting away the Flood Dragon War Chariot, Xiaochen looked at an island and quickly descended. After a while, they landed in the largest city of the island. In Xiaochen's memory, this seemed to be the second largest island in the Dragon Grave Sea, second only to Treasure Dragon Island. Just like what he had seen in the past, the city was still in a dilapidated state. Both inside and outside the city, it was chaotic, without any order. When Xiaochen came to this place again, his mood was completely different. When he first came, he had been anxious to find the flower of life and the death fruit. When he returned, Xiaochen had already successfully condensed the heart of an emperor and advanced to the great perfection blue-robed emperor. He could now kill the half-step Emperor Wu. Let's go take a look. It is said that a huge battle has broken out in the southern part of the city. A merchant association wanted to set up a branch here. In the end, they accidentally set up their branch in the territory of the Heavenly Yuan Merchant Association. Now it is said that a fight has broken out. Interesting. Which merchant association is this blind? The Heavenly Essence Merchant Association is one of the 4 strongest merchant associations in the entire Dragon Grave Sea. To think that they actually opened a branch in their territory. Aren't they just seeking death? I heard that the new merchant association is not weak. Furthermore, they are very popular in the Dark Sea. Even the Flame Rock Sovereign has to give them face. So what if they are not weak? Every branch of the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association in the Dragon Grave Sea is overseen by a half-step Emperor Wu. They have been here for several hundred years already. I heard that there is even a peak expert on the same level as Emperor Wu on Treasure Dragon Island. The moment Xiaochen entered the city, he saw the cultivators beside him rushing to the southern part of the city. When he heard that this new merchant association had the Flame Rock Sovereign backing it in the Dark Sea, Xiaochen raised his eyebrows. He thought to himself, could it be my own Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce? The Dragon Grave Sea was filled with dragon graves and all sorts of remnants. Every year, it would produce a large number of natural treasures and ancient divine items. Given Kim Taeho's character, he would definitely not give up on this place. With the support of the Flame Rock Sovereign, the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce had already gained a firm foothold in the Dark Sea. It made perfect sense for them to cross the Dark Sea and extend their trade route to the Dragon Grave Sea. Furthermore, after Xiaochen subdued the Su clan in the Human Demon Sea, he had already sent a letter to Heavenly Star Island to send people over to receive them. Only the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce could come over quickly. The more Xiaochen thought about it, the more likely it seemed. His figure flashed, and he immediately rushed to the southern part of the city. If it was really the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce, Xiaochen could not just sit back and watch. The Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce played a very important role in the Dragon's Gate's revival. After a few breaths, Xiaochen arrived at the southern part of the city. Then he stood on the roof of a tall building. When he saw a familiar figure, he knew that his guess was right. There was no need for any other proof. It was indeed Xiaochen's Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce. Someone had smashed the signboard of the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce, and the other party had surrounded the person in charge. Among the crowd, Kim Taeho looked at a blue-clad, middle-aged man with a baleful expression. That was the person in charge of the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association's branch on this island. This person was of medium build, and he exuded the shrewdness and calculation of a merchant. However, his eyes contained a trace of tyranny and hostility that ordinary merchants did not have. In this Dragon Grave Sea, where no major factions occupied a place, the 4 great merchant associations were the kings. Regular cultivators did not dare to offend them. As one of the 4 great merchant associations, The Heavenly Essence Merchant Association's branch managers all had this tyrannical and kingly aura. They were already used to doing as they pleased in the Dragon Grave Sea. Kim Tae-ho waved his hand to suppress the angry cultivators with him. Then he looked at the blue-clad man and said, "Friend, I am new here and did not know that the entire southern part of the city is the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association's territory. It is my fault. If you had explained things properly, I would have definitely apologized and left immediately. However, isn't smashing someone's signboard a little too tyrannical?" When the blue-clad man heard this, he laughed loudly. Then he looked at Kim Tae-ho's swollen figure and showed some disdain in his eyes. "So what if I smashed your signboard? Don't think that you can do whatever you want in the Dragon Grave Sea just because you are doing well in the Sea of Darkness. Let me tell you, now that you are in the Dragon Grave Sea, you better tuck your tail between your legs and behave yourself. Continue smashing." Pa, pa, pa. The Heavenly Cloud Merchant Association's cultivators continued to step on the signboard that had already been smashed in half. Rage burned in Kim Tae-ho's eyes. As he looked at the tattered signboard, he felt like he was being kicked in the heart. However, Kim Tae-ho still suppressed his rage and spread his arms out, not letting the cultivators behind him attack rashly. If Xiao Chun made a move now, it would only give the other party an excuse to use force. At that time, he would still be the one suffering. How boring. I thought that the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce was very powerful. It turns out that it is only SOSO. Indeed, it is not interesting. It is just a one-sided humiliation. There is nothing to see. The Heavenly Essence Merchant Association has been flaunting their might for a long time. I thought that they would run into a tough opponent. When the cultivators who heard the news saw this scene, they all shook their heads slightly, finding it boring. Scram. The Dragon Grave Sea does not welcome you. Don't let me see your signboard. Otherwise, I will smash it every time I see it. The blue-clad man shouted in disdain as he looked at Kim Tae-ho and smashed the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce's signboard into smithereens. Kim Tae-ho waved his hand and said, "Pick up the signboard. Let's go." The group of people remained silent. Together with Kim Tae-ho, they stepped forward and bent over. Then they carefully picked up the shattered signboard. Xiao Chun felt somewhat sad. However, he felt even more gratified. Sometimes, one could bend over, but one had to pick up one's dignity. Compared to the scheming Xiao Chun of the Sky Dome realm, the current Kim Tae-ho was much more mature. Xiao Chun's figure flashed, looking like he teleported. Then he silently landed among Kim Tae-ho's group and joined the ranks of the group picking up the shattered signboard. Kim Tae-ho looked up and happened to meet Xiao Chun's gaze, who had picked up a piece of the signboard. Both of them were completely stunned. Xiao Chun smiled faintly and said, "What are you standing there for? Quickly pick it up. After you are done, let's have a drink together." Kim Tae-ho laughed loudly. Without saying anything, he picked up the speed of picking up the shattered signboard. Clearly, he was in a good mood. Upon seeing such a scene, everyone was stunned. Was this fatso crazy? Someone smashed his signboard. Yet he was still so happy, able to laugh? Where did this fellow come from? Who allowed you to pick up these things? When the blue-clad man saw the sudden appearance of Xiao Chun and the laughing fatso, he felt like he was being ignored. It was just one kick. The wind howled as it kicked at Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun acted like he did not see the blue-clad man's kick, continuing to pick up the shattered signboard. Bang! The blue-clad man kicked heavily with great force. However, Xiao Chun did not get knocked back as expected. Amid a loud sound, it was like the blue-clad man's kick had landed on a vast mountain range. A huge rebound knocked him back. The blue-clad man cried out in pain and vomited a mouthful of blood. The impact knocked him back. After he landed, he could not get up again. Blood flowed out of the blue-clad man's mouth continuously as he coughed endlessly. His complexion paled, and he showed a horrified expression. When he checked with his consciousness, he was horrified to discover that his internal organs were all shattered. No wonder blood kept flowing out of the blue-clad man's mouth. His heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys were all shattered. Even if a celestial being came, he would not be able to save him. How could this be? The blue-clad man was a blue-robed emperor. In this Dragon Grave Sea, he could barely be considered an expert. While this kick might not have sent the blue-clad man flying, it should not have killed him. Oh no. He is going to die. The experts of the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association supported the blue-clad man and checked. They all showed horrified expressions, unable to react at all. Why were all sorts of strange things happening in this day and age? Manager Lon kicked himself to death? When the many surrounding cultivators saw this scene, they all felt their hair stand on end. This was simply too strange. Let's go. We ran into an expert. We have to ask Elderfong to come out. The cultivators of the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association carried the blue-clad man's corpse and looked at Xiao Chun, who was still picking up the shattered signboard. Their expressions were strange as they hurried to the back. The group of people from the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce were stunned as well. When they saw this white-clad youth who suddenly appeared, they could not understand what was going on. The entire southern part of the city fell silent. The surrounding cultivators could not say anything, either. What he saw today was completely beyond his understanding. How could someone kick himself to death with a single kick? Go. Did I say that you can go? Xiao Chun suddenly stood up and stretched out his hand. The shattered signboard in everyone's hands flew into his hand. Then he waved his hand, and a brand new signboard materialized. Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce. These 4 words gave off a faint glow. They glistened with a golden light, looking dazzling and dazzling. To Xiao Chun, who was proficient in the life bestowal spell, this little trick was nothing. Chapter 12:26. With a twist of his hand, the signboard in Xiao Chun's palm spun rapidly. Then he sent it flying forward. Bang! 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 Xiao Chun had secretly infused a strand of primordial energy into the signboard. Now the ordinary signboard immediately turned into a great killing weapon. Before these blue-robed emperor experts could react, their calves were crushed. They cried out in pain and knelt on the ground. It was clear that not all the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association experts were kneeling on the ground. The ones kneeling on the ground were the cultivators who had trampled on the signboard earlier. When the remaining people saw this scene, they did not dare to act rashly. Whoosh! Whoosh! After spinning a few times, the signboard returned to Xiao Chun's hand. With a huang dang sound, he placed the signboard on the ground. Xiao Chun opened his mouth and sucked in the strand of primordial energy that he had yet to use. Then he said softly, "Scram." These were clearly 2 simple words. However, when Xiao Chun spoke, the sky changed color. A surging and strong energy surged out, sounding like thunder. As lightning flashed and thunder roared, the remaining cultivators of the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association were blown into the air by these 2 words. In the next moment, they were blown to an unknown location, their figures nowhere to be seen. The many cultivators who had criticized the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce earlier were all stunned. They did not know where this ruthless person came from. Without doing anything, he killed the blue-clad man. Then, when he opened his mouth, he knocked away a group of cultivators hired by the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association. This was simply incredible, flabbergasting. The strength of primordial energy astonished Xiao Chun as well. He had not expected just 1 strand of primordial energy to deal with this group of people so easily. After handing the signboard back to Kim Tae-ho, Xiao Chun glanced at the kneeling Heavenly Essence Merchant Association cultivators and said indifferently, "Since you dare to trample on the signboard of the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce, don't blame me for being tyrannical. Kneel here for 1 day." Those who humiliated others would be humiliated by others. The many cultivators who came to watch the show finally understood why Kim Tae-ho could smile. It was all because of the white-robed man. Smashing someone's signboard was the greatest humiliation. So he would use an even greater humiliation and a more domineering method to return the favor. He seemed to be very quiet, but the methods of this white-clothed man shocked everyone. If news of the Heavenly Essence Chamber of Commerce's hired thugs kneeling here for a month were to spread, the Heavenly Essence Chamber of Commerce's reputation would be completely tarnished. You want us to kneel here for a month? No way. The 5 members of the Heavenly Essence Chamber of Commerce kneeling on the ground roared angrily when they heard this. They took a deep breath and tried to use their heavenly laws to drive the power of the world and fly away. However, to their horror, they discovered that Xiaochen wasn't using any sort of power. Even when they used their demi-immortal laws, they couldn't shake Xiaochen's restrictive spells. Xiaochen smiled coldly to himself. Primordial energy was a purer and stronger energy than the power of the world. It was something that only Emperor Wu could use. The strongest among these people was only a great perfection blue-robed emperor. Trying to shake primordial energy was like a baby trying to move a mountain. I said kneel for a month, so kneel for a month. No one will be able to make you stand up. Xiaochen stepped forward and sent out another palm strike on each of the 5 shoulders. Then he used another strand of primordial energy to completely restrict the 5. Without a month's time, that strand of primordial energy would not scatter. It would be impossible for this group of people to stand up. As long as they were not an expert on the level of the old black iron monster, it would be impossible for anyone to remove the restriction. If someone tried to do it forcefully, the scattered strand of primordial energy would gather into a torrent and teach that person a huge lesson. Debao, hang up the signboard. Xiaochen turned his head and instructed. I want to see who else dares to smash the signboard of the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce. Who was the signboard of the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce? It was Xiaochen's signboard. If these people dared to smash his signboard, it would be equivalent to slapping him in the face. Although Xiaochen did not show any anger on the surface, he was already furious in his heart. If others do not offend me, I will not offend them. If others offend me, I will return the favor tenfold. The Blue Dragon King. He must be the Blue Dragon King. So he is the Blue Dragon King, our big boss behind the scenes. He is indeed tyrannical. When the group of cultivators from the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce looked at Xiaochen again, how could they not guess his identity? All of them had smiles of admiration on their faces. They had long heard of the legend of their master. It would take 3 days and 3 nights to recount all of them. Now that they saw him in person, they knew that the rumors were true. The youngest conferred king in the history of Bushan Palace was indeed tyrannical and boundlessly elegant. Kim Taeho chuckled and said a few words to his subordinates. Then he pulled Xiaochen up the stairs. He smiled embarrassedly and said, Sorry, I did not expect to embarrass myself in front of you. Xiaochen waved his hand and said, There's no need. I should be the one apologizing to you. I really did not know that opening a new branch would be so difficult and full of twists and turns. It was really not easy for you to grow the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce to its current scale. The two chatted as they walked. When they arrived at a table on the 2nd floor, Kim Taeho smiled and said, The current Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce is really nothing much. Our accumulations are still too little. In the end, our accumulations cannot compare to those large merchant associations that have been around for hundreds, or even thousands of years. Xiaochen nodded and said, There is no need to rush. Accumulations can only be built up over time. Kim Taeho recalled something and said, That's right, I received your letter. Unexpectedly, you managed to obtain a conferred land in the Human Demon Sea without anyone noticing. This way, I will be able to establish a smooth sea trade route through the heavenly starry oceans Dark Sea, Dragongrave Sea, and Human Demon Sea. There is only one merchant association in the entire oceanic world that can have such a long trade route. In less than 10 years, I guarantee that the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce will become one of the 4 great merchant associations of the entire oceanic world. Xiaochen smiled faintly. He had never doubted Kim Taeho's ability. Who is so bold as to dare to kill the manager of my Heavenly Essence Merchant Association's branch? Are they tired of living? As the two chatted and drank, a thunderous voice suddenly came from outside the building. The strong aura of a half-step Emperor Wu surged over. The entire shop shook intensely, making it hard for people to stand stably. Xiaochen raised his eyebrows and drained the wine in his cup. Then he smiled faintly and said, Finally, someone who is slightly more presentable. Dang. The wine cup landed heavily on the table. In that instant, the shaking shop suddenly quietened down. Inside the shop, Kim Taeho's expression changed slightly. Xiaochen, the one who came seems to be a half-step Emperor Wu. Xiaochen nodded and smiled calmly. I know. However, I really do not care about a regular half-step Emperor Wu. As Kim Tae-ho watched Xiaochen leap down the pavilion, he was slightly stunned. He could not understand how Xiaochen had improved so quickly after leaving for close to a year. Outside the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce, the surrounding cultivators all scattered. The reason was obvious. Everyone knew that the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association's branch in the city had a half-step Emperor Wu overseeing it. The cultivators of the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association's branch were restrained and forced to kneel on the street. With such a big matter happening, the half-step Emperor Wu would definitely make a move. If the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association could not get back at Xiaochen, its reputation would plummet. It might even fall out of the ranks of the Dragon Grave Sea's 4 great merchant associations. For a long time, the Martial Heavenly Merchant Association had always been the one showing off and acting tyrannically. Now that they had run into a tough opponent and had a good show to watch, these people were naturally unwilling to leave. Elder Feng, save us. When the 5 Heavenly Essence Merchant Association's blue-robed emperor kneeling on the street saw Elder Feng, they immediately cried out for help. They had already been restrained here by Xiaochen for an hour. The gazes directed at them from all directions made them feel so sullen that they wanted to die. However, the crux of the matter was that it was difficult for them to even move. Wanting to die was an extravagant hope. How humiliating would it be for the blue-robed emperor to kneel on the street for a month? Those who humiliated others would be humiliated by others. When these people trampled on the dignity of a merchant association in front of all the cultivators in the city, they should have been prepared to be humiliated as well. They could not blame others for the evil they brought upon themselves. When Elder Feng, the half-step Emperor Wu, saw the 5 people kneeling on the ground, he immediately rushed over. When he saw the people watching them make a fool of themselves, he felt his face burn. Elder Feng cursed angrily. Bunch of trash. You can't even stand up. You have utterly embarrassed the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association. Elder Feng, we are willing to accept any punishment. Please let us stand up first. The 5 kneeling cultivators felt sullen in their hearts. However, they did not dare to refute. Xiaochen drifted down. When he saw Elder Feng's strength, he felt confident. He crossed his arms and watched coldly as the other party made a move. His lips curled up in an indistinct smile. Why is that white-clad youth so calm? He is not even afraid of the half-step Emperor Wu. That is too exaggerated. I heard that he is a descendant of the Qing Emperor back then. He is the center of our oceanic world, the outstanding talent of the Heavenly Starry Ocean's younger generation. However, he defeated him in one move at the Four Seas Hero Gathering. Even if he is a descendant of the Qing Emperor and his strength has improved greatly, he should still be cautious when facing the half-step Emperor Wu. Right now, he does not care at all. Outside the human demon paradise, the news of Xiaochen killing 12 half-step martial emperors in a row had not spread. As for the cultivators near the Dragon Grave Sea, they had not heard about it yet. The cultivators near the Dragon Grave Sea all had their doubts about whether Xiaochen could defeat the half-step Emperor Wu. When they saw Xiaochen's current actions, they felt even more confused. The Heavenly Essence Merchant Association's Elder Feng glanced at the calm Xiaochen and said coldly, "After I break your restriction, I will deal with you. No one in the Dragon Grave Sea has ever offended the Heavenly Essence Merchant Association and ended up with a good result." Xiaochen retorted, "No one has ever smashed the reputation of the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce and ended up with a good result. The person in front of you is the best example. If I say I want them to kneel, they will kneel. You alone are not enough to make them stand up." How arrogant. This old man is a half-step Emperor Wu. Do you think I cannot break your restriction? Don't you think too highly of yourself? You're really unscrupulous when you talk. Seeing Xiaochen so arrogant, Elder Feng did not get angry. Instead, he laughed, finding this somewhat interesting. White-robed brat, don't be arrogant. Elder Feng is a half-step Emperor Wu. Do you think he cannot break your restriction? That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.